Hey, guys. I started a little late today because I was chatting in the sidebar with my buddy Jim Forbes. Turns out that Jim and I are both into bodybuilding, even though we're a little older now. But I still try to get to the gym, at least 3 days a week. And I do the dumbbells outside in the backyard whenever I can't make it to the gym. Try to go for a walk at least a couple days a week and do the pull-ups at the monkey bars at the kiddie park down the street. So for all you lawyers out there, all you roly-poly, fat body lawyers, excuse makers, keep that in mind. If especially personal injury attorneys and litigators, man, we have a real low life expectancy. The stress of our jobs is like right up there with dentists. So it was kind of cool. Hey, what's going on, BZ? How you doing? Good seeing you, brother. And that's BZ Watchdog, my Marine brother, just came in to join us. I was just talking a little bit about staying healthy if you want to have a good life. And so I recommend you guys stay off the alcohol. And when I get up in the morning, I always drink a small, about a shot of Moroccan olive oil that's loaded with polyphenols, and you don't have anything to eat, just the olive oil for about an hour. You drink water, but no sugar. As soon as you have sugar, what ends up happening is your body stores everything you eat as fat for later use. It's just dangerous stuff, man. And it spikes your insulin. So like when you have a Coke, you notice how you get tired? Because what it does is it spikes your insulin, and then your body tries to push your insulin levels back down, and then you fall asleep because your body's striving for normality. So that's why you need to stay away from processed and refined sugar. You get plenty of sugar already just from the natural foods that you eat, and just have regular fruit. But anyways, we'll get into that some other time. And Greg B says it's been about 20 years since he had a drink, but he likes his coffee triple. Right on. Good for you, Greg. Alcohol is just pure evil, and it destroys your body. And I'm glad to be alcohol free. I think it's just terrible stuff, and it makes you a real jerk to other people, and you don't even realize it. So congratulations to you for staying sober, my friend. It's a real big deal. Especially for Marines, because we just we like to party. When you're stationed at Camp Pendleton, at least when I was, the drinking age was 17. So we'd go to the E Club and get annihilated, and then the next day you'd see all these privates with thermometers up their butt, all dropped out along the march, and with the corpsmen up, sticking thermometers up their butts. It was terrible stuff. I'm sure that BZ Watchdog remembers. Yeah, and BZ Watchdog, that's another thing. When I was growing up, we used to surf K-38s because I'm a Southern California guy. So we used to go down to TJ and surf K-38s, and Ortega's by the sea. They had all you can eat crab and all you could drink Tecates. And I think it was like $3 or $3.99. You could just, and we're 16 years old, just getting annihilated and going out there and surfing. And those were good times, man. You can't do that anymore now with the cartels and all the crazy stuff going on. I don't recommend it. $5, BZ Watchdog says. Hey, Thomas Rockholt, good seeing you. And Greg B says, I did 30 years. I know all about drinking. Yeah, and that's the thing. I come from, on my dad's side, they're all Swedish Lutheran, straight edge. And on my mom's side, they were all Norwegian, German, and Scottish hardcore alcoholics. So, I had sort of like the good and the bad, and the Scots really know how to drink. So that was kind of a trip growing up, seeing the disparity. And luckily I favored my dad's side more when it came to that kind of stuff, and got into fitness and working out. And anyways, I don't want to get too far into what I did, because most of you guys know about my past. Greg was 30 years military. Congratulations, Greg. And by the way, you guys know that I always, I talk big about the Marine Corps, but anybody who served their country and was willing to put their life on the line, obviously you guys have my respect. I'm just always going to be pro Marine Corps because it's a brotherhood that's unlike anything else there is out there. You'll even hear guys on YouTube, like Delta guys, talking about Marines, going, solid dudes, man. And the Marines are kind of like America's version of the French Foreign Legion. We can do so much with so little. We can do anything with nothing. We hate it when we're in, but when we get out, we miss our brothers. And so we keep tight alliances with Marine brothers. Whenever I'm out and I've got my honorable discharge pin or my EGA on, and another Marine spots me, they instantly come up and shake my hand, exchange phone numbers. You just don't see that with the other branches. It's a real, the training is so intense. It's Like when you get out of boot camp, you're already suffering from PTSD, Give me a bunch of ones if you were in the Marine Corps and you know what I'm talking about. And so today we're going to talk, like BZ Watchdog says, get back on track. We're going to talk about policy and the law. And I'm going to play some videos, some reaction videos, and we're going to talk about that. So most of you guys may or may not know this, but I am a lawyer and I'm licensed to practice law in California and Texas. I make my money from doing personal injury cases, but my passion is constitutional law and civil rights. And so there's not a whole lot of money in that, unfortunately, at least compared to what I can make from a car accident or a motorcycle accident. And most of my cases come from fellow Marines and vets who crashed their motorcycles. And that's how I was able to build a nice little empire for my family and be able to provide for them. But again, my passion is being with you guys, doing these shows and sharing everything that I know about the law, and hopefully teaching you guys a little bit about how to do critical analysis and become critical thinkers, because we know that our commie-run school system wants a bunch of robots, mindless fools with low IQs because they're easier to control, which is probably why they're flooding our country with people from third world countries with low educations and giving them free stuff, because it's easier to get votes from people like that if they just give them some of our money, right? Of course. So Mama Lion says, I left my phone in my daughter's truck. I'm on my laptop and the key stick flipped because I'm trying not to cuss. That's cool, Mama Lion. No problem. I just appreciate it that you made it and you're joining us tonight. Hey, BZ and Ralph Riley, all you guys, man, I'm super happy Ralph Riley's here. I'm super happy to see Ralph. Ralph is a biker buddy of mine, and I've had him on the show before as a guest, and it's just super cool to see all you guys here. I'm just kind of letting the room fill up a little bit before we get too much into the show. But we got about 50 people in here now, so I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with my normal little skit that I do at the very beginning, and then we'll get into doing some reaction videos and talking a little bit about policy over law, what's the difference, and how will it apply? Because remember, policy generally isn't law unless the law also encompasses the policy. That's one thing, but we're going to get into that. But now, if you're suing someone, whether it's a cop or anyone else, if they have a corporate policy to do or not do something in a civil case, you can use that as a basis to sue based upon the standard of care. And we'll get into that. But let's get into the show real quick, and then I'll blow it up for you. To another edition of Ask Michael Eline. This is where I teach people the law in an unorthodox manner by using examples that we see in the news, case law briefs, but it's all about exposing the Leviathan and its instrumentalities and taking back your rights. Know the law and mean to keep it well. Come here to learn from an expert to know your right. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. Yeah, and also I see, just really quick, I see Christopher. Christopher says, how are you, brother? Yeah, I'm good, Christopher. Thanks for joining me, man. And Jeff, good seeing you. All my homies, Bo Ghibli. Bo Ghibli has 3 honorable discharges. Well, that's pretty impressive. What branches were you in, or did you volunteer to go back during the WAT or the GWAT? Tell us about yourself, bro, in the sidebar. Then Thomas Rockholt, good seeing you. And as we know, Greg did 30 years military. That's out freaking standing. And of course, you guys know if you served in the military, it's pretty much standard operating procedure that you have to be an alcoholic. So, but before we get too deep into the show, one thing that I learned from Chili DeCastro is that him and me both seem to be targeted by the algorithm. I guess we're a little bit too outspoken about our distrust of government, because I guess we believe in what our founding fathers believed in, which is limited government, and that politicians and the state should be bound by the chains of the Constitution. We believe in the Bill of Rights and natural law, that all rights come from an all-powerful creator, just like it says in the Declaration of Independence. Your rights come from a creator, not from government. And of course, we know that the Marxist school system and the blue-haired thought police at the college campuses with their safe spaces, they hate our founding fathers and they support a Marxist form of government, and they're brainwashing our children. So that's why I always encourage people to come onto my show to learn about the real proud history of this country and where our rights and freedoms come from, and try to teach you guys to be proud to be Americans, because you're being told to hate your country by your public school teachers and many of your politicians. And that's just not the way it should be, guys. I mean, we have an amazing country. We're a constitutional republic. We're not a democracy. Don't believe anything that your ridiculous college professor brainwashes you to think, or CNN or PMSNBC. A republic is when two wolves and a well-armed sheep show up for dinner. A democracy is where two wolves and an unarmed sheep show up for dinner. In a democracy, the majority decides the fate of the minority. And in a republic, the individual is what matters most. And individual rights and freedom are what America was all about. And we've seen a certain political party trying to globalize us and get their money from George Soros and these commies at the World Economic Forum. But the people on my channel understand that we're only one generation away from losing our freedoms, and they come here to join me, and hopefully we can help each other by forming parallel systems, by homeschooling and homesteading, and having our own herb garden, for example, collecting rainwater. Don't do it illegally, guys. Ooh, wouldn't want to steal from Mother Nature, right? And that's what I'm talking about natural law. I mean, can you imagine a politician passing a law saying that you can't collect your own rainwater? And why is that? Because they want to control you. They want to make sure that they're the sole source of information, the sole source of food, the sole source of sustenance, to make you totally dependent on them for everything. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree. So really quick, I'm just going to tell you, because I'm filming in vertical, the best way to help me get likes is to double tap the screen, number one. So I'd appreciate it if you guys would all double tap the screen. And then also, if you could, type in the sidebar whenever I play a video, this is a reaction video, just so we let the thought police know that we're not stealing anybody's stuff. We're just doing a reaction to something that someone else did. And then also, we know that the thought police are preventing me. Like today, I tried to like and comment on some of BZ Watchdog's videos on my handheld, and it wouldn't let me. And Chile's been having the same problem with me and several other people who are cop watchers and people who are supporting liberty and freedom. And so it almost looks like they've got their algorithm designed to prevent us from being able to help each other. So I'd appreciate it if all of you people would go through and take a look at my shorts and comment on them, the short videos, not my gym shorts or Jim Schwartz, right? No, the gym shorts. Just the regular video shorts, and press the like button, see if it works. Comment on them, go to the older ones, comment on them, share them, and then also the best way to support my channel besides buying my ebook would be for you guys to press the save button. That is a real boost. So if you save for later, save to favorites, my videos, that's a real big boost. And then for your own personal growth and well-being, record my videos, because when the thought police finally do ban me and take down the channel, at least you'll have a record of some really good, helpful information. And I try to do my videos so people can, when they're cruising around, for a 2-hour drive, when they're cruising down to Camp Pendleton from maybe Orange County, right, they can listen to my videos and they have a good time listening to them. And then if Greg needs a lawyer, reach out to me after the show. Stomper, good seeing you. And let me see who else has joined us. Copster 5150, thanks for joining us. Stomper, good seeing you, bro. I love having you here, man. All you guys are the best. And then Bo Ghibli, if I get censored on a channel, I block their channel. Yeah, right. Well, now here's another thing I want to point out. I've had some issues with my moderators timing out fellow moderators. Look, guys, if you see someone in the chat who's got a wrench, don't use your power to time them out. They're here because they're basically a Marine like you. You guys are all like private first classes. That's why you got your wrench. So don't time out fellow mods. They're my friends. We already lost one guy, Steve Ladner. He doesn't want to come back on the channel, even though he has a wrench, because some other mod was timing him out. So if you guys are battling with each other, try to present the united front while we're doing the show, and then come to me afterwards and we'll hash it out offline. I just want to make sure that we don't have people that are just being jerks just because you got a little bit of power, because that's what the cops are doing, right? That's why you come to my channel. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to talk a little bit about policy. All right. Does policy trump law, and does law trump policy? Well, first thing I'm going to do is just share a little bit of information with you. And we'll just go down the list. So first of all, is it legal for a police officer to make an arrest for a citizen that violates a policy? And then what if the police violate their policy, their police policy? Can I sue them for that? Okay. And yes, you can. And we're going to get into that. But the legality of arrests and the implications of policy violations by police can be quite complex and vary significantly by jurisdiction. But I'm going to offer some general insights for you. Okay. So arrest for violating policy. Generally, a person cannot be arrested for merely violating a policy. Now, does it happen? Of course it does, right? Because these guys don't know the law. They hire guys that barely made it out of high school, right? Or illegal aliens, right? Now they're hiring illegal aliens who don't even know anything about our country or our way of life or what it is to be an American. All they know is that they get a free phone, a free hotel, and now they can even, get temporary protective status and become a cop and carry a gun. Wow, woohoo! Now, policies are internal guidelines or rules set out by organizations or entities, including police departments. Criminal law versus policy. An arrest typically requires that a law, not just a policy, has been broken. So that's where the lines kind of get blurred, guys, is sometimes there might be something that's illegal that also violates department policy. So when a cop says it's our policy that you can't punch someone in the face, well, that also violates criminal law. That would be a battery, right? So just so you know, you have to use your intelligence. You have to be a critical thinker. You can't just say, that's policy, that's not law, right? So everything that I'm doing on the show is not legal advice. I want you guys to be critical thinkers and look up the law for your state. So these are general legal principles to help you understand and make you think, because I want you guys to think, all right? So for instance, an arrest typically requires that a law, not just a policy, has been broken. For instance, if a city has a policy that all citizens must carry an ID at all times, but there's no law about that, well, then violating that policy shouldn't lead to an arrest unless there's an accompanying legal statute or ordinance, something that's passed by the legislature or the local city council. They can pass local municipal ordinances and codes. Now, whether or not they're constitutional is another thing. That's something that you would have to challenge later in court. If you try to challenge it on the roadside, you might get ventilated by some 45 rounds. So I'm always very careful in telling you guys, don't resist, because if you do, even though you might have the right to, you can't fight something when you're dead, and your family's going to miss the hell out of you. So be careful. That's another reason why you shouldn't be drinking. You don't want that fire water, guys, because it's going to make you get cuckoo and do stupid stuff. Now, police violating their own policy. Liability. If police officers violate their own policies, they might not necessarily be breaking the law, but for you and me, it could lead to an administrative action against them because they violated their own policy, right? Like BZ Watchdog calls them out for wearing the wrong uniform or not having the proper accoutrements. He's good at it, man. He knows his stuff. But it can lead to a disciplinary measure or a suspension or a restraining against the officer for violating their policy, because it represents a floor, not necessarily a ceiling of what a police officer is supposed to do, like just the basic standards of conduct that a police officer is supposed to engage in. Now, with respect to civil suits, if a police officer's actions are in violation of department policy, they can infringe on your legal rights or cause harm as well. But you might have grounds for a civil lawsuit because it establishes what they call a standard of care, right? And so in a negligence claim, the very beginning of the negligence claim is based on a duty, right? It's duty of care. Did they violate a reasonable duty of care? And if the department has a standard of care that they're supposed to abide by and they breach that standard, and then that results in damages to you, and those damages are the cause of your injuries, right? Then you would have a negligence claim. So duty, breach of duty, that's the first thing you want to look at. And where do you get the duty from? Well, it could be based upon, for an ordinary reasonable person, it could just be a regular duty of care. Like you don't punch someone in the face when you're walking down the street. That would be a breach of the normal duty of care. But see, police have a heightened special duty of care in many cases because they're in a stronger and more powerful position. And their department policy usually will set that standard and that duty, an objectively reasonable officer's standard of care. And if that is the actual cause or the proximate cause of your injury, then you would have the ability to sue for damages because that's what caused your damages. I hope this is all making sense. Give me a bunch of ones if you guys understand so far. And if you have questions in the sidebar, ask away and I'll try to answer them. Hey, right on, Swedish Observer. So a lot of you guys also know that my dad was 100% Swedish. So I was raised a Swedish Lutheran. Yeah, sure, you betcha. And I used to grow up on Norwegian and Swedish jokes where, the Norwegians would say Swedes are Norwegians with their brains knocked out, and Norwegians are Swedes with their brains knocked out, depending on what side of the fence you're on. I'm both Swedish and Norwegian, so I'm always knocking my brains out. And why do I say out? Because most Scandinavians are from Minnesota or Wisconsin, don't you know? Yeah, sure, you betcha. So anyways, now, in a civil suit, if a police officer's actions violate department policy, et cetera, you could probably sue them, especially if you were damaged. So if it leads to an illegal search, an unlawful detention, or excessive use of force, you could potentially sue for damages under those theories, in addition to your regular civil rights actions. It just shows a breach below the standard of reasonable care. And then transparency and accountability. Many jurisdictions require and encourage police departments to make their policies public. And that's how BZ Watchdog knows about their policies. Like, hey, you're wearing the wrong hat, or you're not wearing your hat. He'll call them out for that, for violating their own policy. And if policies are publicly known, it's easier for citizens to hold officers accountable for violating those policies. Excuse me, I've had a rough day. I've been up since about 04, so I'm not drinking. I'm just slurring a little bit. Legal considerations. Jurisdiction. Laws regarding police conduct, civil liabilities, and rights vary by country and even by state or province. And obviously, since America stems from British common law, English common law, we have a lot of similarities. The difference is we have a lot more freedom because, they have a living constitution and we have a constitution that is set in stone where politicians, scumbags can't get paid off, or they're not supposed to be able to get paid off to violate your rights like they do over in Europe, which hopefully we won't have happen to us. But with people like Soros and Gates, man, I fear for this country because they're pushing us towards this globalist type of a government, this worldwide government that doesn't believe in natural law, natural rights, and freedom. They believe in rule by elite. And you can see that, how they're buying up all the farmland and trying to control us, which is just terrible. Hey, George in Orbit. Thank you. George in Orbit just threw me a $10, looks like a super chat. And George says, some Asian person driving a Kia Soul hit my mom's car on the freeway when she was taking my brother to USCLB. An Asian CHP cop wrote a report as if it was my mom's fault. I'm contacting the sergeant. Well, if you have evidence that it was based on racial discrimination because they don't like you because you're not their same race, if it's in California, you might have a claim against them under the UNRUH Civil Rights Act, UNRUH Civil Rights Act, not just the Constitution, but you have to do discovery and you have to do a lot of work to find that information out. It's just not guaranteed that you're going to be able to prove it just because they're a different race. So be careful about that. But George, you might have something, but you never know. I always try to think that I want to believe that people treat people like they're human beings and that race shouldn't have anything to do with anything other than it's cool that I'm Swedish and I'm proud of it, but I'm an American first. And I'm hoping that everybody thinks that way. It's too bad that our communist run education system tries to turn our youth against this amazing country and our amazing Bill of Rights and our way of life. It's sad to me that Marxists have taken over and indoctrinated and brainwashed and destroyed our youth. And I'm hoping that you guys will join me in forming parallel systems, in homeschooling your kids, and homesteading and growing your own food, and doing business with one another like Martin Luther King did, boycotting businesses that teach all this crazy stuff that boys are girls and girls, all that nonsense like Target. Don't shop there. Don't do business with people that teach things that are diametrically opposed to what you believe in. Just don't do it. Now, Chevy, thank you. Chevy just threw me $10. Thank you, Chevy. I really appreciate that. And Brick Jonesy, good seeing you, Brick. Super, super happy Brick Jonesy just showed up. USA, baby, Bill of Rights all the way. And then we got, Chevy says, am I woke? Now, I don't know that you're woke, but I think you're awakened. And I think that a lot of us have become awakened over the last 2 to 3 years when our country has been flooded with illegal aliens who don't respect our way of life, who entered here illegally, and they're getting free stuff while we're paying for it. And you saw what happened with the Venezuelans, how they're taking over apartment complexes, just terrible stuff, terrible stuff. And how the commie news media tries to minimize it and diminish the damage that these people are doing to our once great land. We need to definitely take back our country and send those people home and make them come back legally. There's a legal path to immigration, and those are the best people because they're not coming here for free things. They're coming here because they might be able to offer something to the country, and they've proven in advance that they're not a threat to our country. And see, we know what happens with these politicians. They love it when these people cause calamity and damage because now they can pass a law to restrict your rights and your freedoms like they did with 911, right? They can pass all these laws every time they do stupid crap and harm our country, the politicians. When someone does damage, now they can pass a law to restrict your freedoms, and that's what we don't want. Chevy just hit me again. Thank you, Chevy. Man, I got nothing but good things to say about Chevy. I think Chevy is into Chevy Novas, if I'm not mistaken. And I was always into Chevelles and all that kind of stuff, but I think Chevy means that's the kind of cars that he likes. And my late father always used to say, put Chevy in it. And in fact, we had a Porsche with no motor in it that we rebuilt, and we dropped a 350 Chevy into that Porsche, took out the back seat, and that was super fun, man. Driving around in a Porsche with headers, with straight headers on it, man, it was insane. So I got some cool stories that I'll get into with you guys sometime. Greg B owned a 1970 Chevelle, right on, man, 454. Hey, I had a Chris Craft, a 37-foot Chris Craft, which is a boat, and I had dual 454 Marine Crusaders in that sucker. Saltwater cooled though, so it was a problem. But that sucker even back in like 96 cost me almost $500 round trip to get out from Huntington Beach to Catalina and back. So that was fun. That was good times, man. And Ralph Riley says his first car was a 67 Nova. And my dad, I think he bought a 64 Corvette, or I think it was a 64 Corvette from having a paper route when he was a boy. He won all the contests for being the top paper route in Garbage Grove, California. Garden Grove for all you people who aren't Californians. So anyways, man, enough is enough. We've been just talking about the good old days. So let me get back into the legal considerations. So the deal is, the legal considerations are laws regarding police conduct, civil liabilities, and rights. Like I said, vary country by country and even by state or province. Now, evidence is the issue. To successfully sue or challenge police actions, evidence of the policy violation and how it led to harm or rights violations is crucial. Qualified immunity. This is the one that Chili DeCastro hates more than anything. Now, a lot of guys say that we need to get rid of qualified immunity, but we saw in Colorado they did away with qualified immunity and it didn't do anything. My thought is, and hopefully you guys will join me in this thought, that we should simply make violating someone's civil rights a capital offense. I don't understand why we're trying to get rid of qualified immunity. They can homestead and declare bankruptcy, right, if you sue them, and you don't get anything. So why not just make it a capital offense to violate people's rights? You'd see it very quickly how the police would back off and the departments would back off if the police were being held for capital offenses for violating your civil rights. It's a big freaking deal. I don't understand it, why judges and lawyers and people who are part of the deep administrative state, when they put the handcuffs, if they put the handcuffs on them, they put them in the front, they treat them like they're special. That's ridiculous. It should be the exact opposite, like our founding fathers wanted. If you hold the position of public trust and you violate it, I believe you should be held for a capital offense. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree with that. Forget about ending qualified immunity. Make it a capital offense for law enforcement to violate people's rights. Watch how quickly things go back to the way they were. When my dad was growing up, like I said before, they used to drag race on the 22 freeway, the kids, when it was under construction, and the local police would come out and watch. And they knew all the local kids, and they were all buddies with the police. But now everything's about raising revenue. These guys are road pirates, and they'll think and do anything they can to try to get revenue from you, including these evil Luciferian civil asset forfeiture laws where they steal your money and do terrible things just because they find you with a large sum of cash, and you don't get any kind of due process. It's unbelievable the stuff they're getting away with. Our country now reminds me of the Soviet Union, the stuff they're getting away with. Hold on, I see a bunch of stuff in the sidebar. I gotta get over here real quick. Holy crap, you guys. So wait a minute, George in Orbit just gave me another $5. Man, I don't know where you guys get all this money, but I appreciate you guys supporting my channel. It means a lot to me. My wife's taking my son to judo tonight. That's going to be my son's green belt right there. That $5 and the $10 that Chevy just threw me, that's going to help me get his green belt when he gets his next promotion. And it's going to motivate my wife to help me more when I do these shows, because she probably would want me taking them, but I'm doing this for you guys. So George in Orbit says, what more evidence than my mom's fractured shoulder versus the people in the Kia leaving without a scratch? No need to be a genius to realize who's at fault. Where they're clearly at fault for the injury and the damage. And if that cop came up with a BS bogus police report, don't just assume it's a race-based harassment. Fight it from a legal perspective. If you can show that they were the primary cause of the injury, George, and they're legally at fault, then they're going to have to pay for it, regardless of what that copper says in his police report. And if you want to reach out to me, go to the michaeleline.com website, and I can give you some tips on how to deal with police reports and how to have a police report amended. So although you're not out of the woods yet, and I know what you're saying, brother, you just always have to assume that right is going to win out over wrong. And you have to have a positive mental attitude and surround yourself with people who believe in you, like Team MPE here on my channel. And we'll talk about it and try to come up with a game plan for you. Now, I saw another one. Chevy, no way, Jose. Man, Chevy threw me 20. Guys, give me a bunch of ones for Chevy. Man, Chevy's on a roll today. Chevy must have won the lottery. And look, guys, I'm not expecting everybody to support the channel. If you don't have money or you're broke, I get it. I'm here for you anyways. But if you do and you don't like doing super chats or whatever, I would appreciate it if you would consider purchasing a digital version of my ebook, My Journey to Becoming a Practicing Lawyer with No Law Degree or Undergrad. In this book, I show you how I became a lawyer with no law degree or undergrad on the California State Bar Law Office Study Program, and how I found lawyers to study under, being a honorably discharged disabled Marine, having several small businesses, having a health club, and being #1 in sales at LA Fitness and Bally's Total Fitness, and being a health fanatic, and then somehow becoming a lawyer after I got beat up by a West Covina cop and vowed that I was going to become a lawyer and fight guys like him in court. And then I won $30,000 in my civil rights lawsuit against that bad cop, Officer Millison of the West Covina Police. He was going through a divorce with his wife at the time, just like they all seem to be, right, guys? And so that's why I believe people like Chili DeCastro. A lot of people, when I grew up, said, oh, no, we don't believe you. Cops would never do that. 1 Adam 12, 1 Adam 12, or Chips. Dun, 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 dun. Remember Ponch and John? So we kind of grew up thinking that these guys were like superheroes. But when it happened to me, they say, like Chili says, back the blue till it happens to you. I'm not saying that all cops are bad, but if you don't hold them to account, they have so much power. And we know one thing for certain: absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it absolutely does. Now, so George, I'm with you. And Chevy, man, I really appreciate you supporting my channel. I'm blown away at this. That you guys are showing me all this love. And again, if you want to get a copy of my book, get the ebook, not this soft cover, but all you have to do is go to my profile where the description is. Maybe one of Team MPE can drop the link in the sidebar. All you got to do is just open up my description, and there's a PayPal link, and you can get a digital version of this book. At some point, I'm going to have soft covers, but they're just too damned expensive. It would cost me so much with shipping and handling that I don't feel it's worth it. And also, my ebook is a living ebook. So as things change, or as I come up with different things that I want to add to the book, I update it, and your version, your copy also updates. So you're going to have a living ebook, which is, like, for example, when the laws change or something about the law study program changes, I'll update it, and you'll get that without having to pay any extra money. So I just think it's really cool because I have a living ebook, and nobody else has that. So I think it's really cool. And then so George in Orbit says in Europe, you need to get at least a major degree. That's a big difference. Well, it wasn't always that way. So the first law schools actually were started by the Knights Templar. And so the king kicked out all of the lawyers from London. And so they had to cross the bar. There was a chain that went across the Templar castle, and that was called the bar. And that's called passing the bar. And so, but they were called inns of court. And so lawyers and judges would train apprentices the same way a knight would train a scholar. And they would live there in the temple, and they would study law, and they would follow around the lawyers, and they would sweep up the law office at night, kind of a thing. And then we didn't even have law schools in this country until like the mid 1800s. So everybody learned the law by reading Blackstone's commentaries on the English law, Thomas Aquinas, if they could get their hands on those books, or they studied at one of the inns of court in England and then came over here as lawyers. So that's how it was. Typically, academic institutions ultimately become influenced by large corporations and politicians, and the message gets, basically they become like drones and they become politicized. And so you lose your ability to be a free thinker. And so I ended up going to law school, but I was already a practicing attorney because I wanted to get the JD to prove to everybody that you didn't need to have an undergrad, and that just to prove that I could get a JD. The law school waived my first year classes because why not, right? Because I'd already passed the bar. Most law schools get their ratings based on their bar pass rate. So I was not a problem for those guys. So I'm just not a believer in academia. I mean, about 80 to 90% of our colleges and schools are run by far left Marxists, in my opinion, and they teach hatred of country. They teach revisionist history, and they teach about that America is a democracy, which we're not. We're not a demos. We're not a mob. We are a constitutional republic. And the definition of democracy at the time of the founding of our Constitution is what matters, not what some modern teacher says it is today. Our Constitution is based upon what words and things meant at the time the documents were written. All of our founding fathers spoke out against democracy as evil and self-destructive. And I'll debate any of you academics who think that you're smart anytime, anywhere about those topics. Now, really quick, we've got another one. Man, George knows how to get my attention. And it's true, guys. If you guys throw me some super chat bucks, I'm going to put you to the front of the line. So George says, I meant the requirement to get into the police department, not a lawyer. Well, you're probably right. To become a cop, I think in Europe, you do have to have some kind of an academic degree. I think that the city of Huntington Beach, at least for a while, required that you have a degree in psychology, which actually is not a bad idea when you think about it, right? Because at least it teaches you how to understand how people think, as opposed to just treating someone terribly because of the way they look or act. Somebody might have some kind of a sickness, and a lot of cops in the Deep South would just put a billy club to your head right away, not understanding that you might have some kind of a mental illness. So one of the things that I like to do on my channel is always preach kindness. And because when I went to a Christian school when I was younger, and Pastor Fagerstrom always said, at Calvary Christian School, we must be courteous, considerate, and kind to others. And you know what? We used to make fun of them. But I do believe that as an adult. I'm so glad that Pastor Fagerstrom taught that, because I think he was also Swedish with Strom at the end of the name. But man, it's so true. If you're courteous, considerate, and kind to others, it's just the positive energy, the aura that you put off, and other people around you, they feed off of that positive energy. It's like negative energy. When you're around someone who's cancerous and caustic, it rubs off on you in a negative way. Give me a bunch of ones if you understand what I'm talking about. Now, I've got a bunch of other comments. Man, there's so many things that I want to say, but man, we're already like 39 minutes in, and I haven't even started the videos yet. And I got some good videos for you. So let me just give you the law really quick, and then we'll get into the videos. So if you guys got super chats, hey, Brick, man, thanks for the ones. Hey, give me a bunch of ones for Brick Jonesy and BZ Watchdog, and make sure to click on their profiles, please, and add them and subscribe to their channels. Brick has been a loyal friend of Chili DeCastro, who's a dear friend of mine. And he supported, along with BZ Watchdog, Chili while he was locked away. And we did fundraisers to help pay for his appellate lawyer. And while Chili was locked up for 4 months, I had the privilege to go and visit him just for welfare checks in Nevada Clark County Jail. And I just was tore up by what happened to him. But I always tried to put on a positive face when I was with him. But when I was driving home, I was tearful, because, I knew that he was locked up simply because he was exercising his rights under the Constitution. And a lot of people may not like him because he's loud or obnoxious in their eyes. But to me, that's the whole point of the First Amendment. The First Amendment shouldn't discriminate, guys. You should be able to be loud and obnoxious or however you want to be, as long as you're not harming someone else. You know, if you make a cop angry and they get twisted panties, well, they shouldn't be in that job then, because yeah, it's a tough job, but you chose that job, guys. And that means that you have to be courteous, considerate, and kind to others. That's what you're paid for. Give me a bunch of ones if you guys agree. Now, let's just finish this up really quick. Let me just kind of recover here. Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's hey, when somebody you care about's locked up and you see them, it's unbelievable, guys. And I've had the privilege of being able to represent state prisoners who had been locked up on murder charges, capital crimes. And me and my legal team, pro bono, were able to get their cases reversed. And just the thought of going to the jail and having to take all your shoes off and run them through the machine, and the way the jailers treated you, and it just what a horrible thing. Just a terrible thing. And you know, once it happens to you, or you see it happen to someone you care about, it'll change you for life. Now, the next thing is, so violating policy may not lead to an arrest unless there's an accompanying legal statute or ordinance. So if a cop violates policy, that doesn't mean they're going to get arrested, but it could mean that they lose their job, or that they get thrown on a timeout, right? Now, police violating their own policy, we've talked about that. Legal considerations. So jurisdiction, laws regarding police conduct, civil liabilities and rights vary by country and even by state or province. Evidence, to successfully sue or challenge police actions, evidence of the police policy violation and how it led to the harm or a rights violation is crucial. Qualified immunity, like I said, some departments have it. Most departments have qualified immunity. And again, we went over the fact that I don't care about qualified immunity. I think that violating someone's civil rights as a police officer should be a capital offense. I think that would stop a lot of problems right now. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree. Now, remember, while policy violations by police may not always be directly actionable in court, they can be significant in the context of civil rights, oversight of police conduct, and public trust. If you're considering legal action, consulting with a lawyer familiar with civil rights or police misconduct in your area would be advisable. And so I have the privilege of having Alan Beck on my legal team, and he's one of the best civil rights attorneys in the country. And he's the guy who introduced me to Dick Heller. And a lot of you guys know that I represent Dick Heller, but I didn't represent him in the Supreme Court cases. But I help him with the Heller Foundation, and he stays with me when he comes into town. It does the SHOT Show and stuff like that. And I consider him to be a really dear friend, and he's a good guy. If you ever get a chance to look up DC versus Heller or Heller versus District of Columbia, it's the seminal case on Second Amendment rights. It's what started it all, thanks to Justice Scalia. And all it's going to take is for Camel Toe to get in, and a couple more justices, and the Second Amendment is going to be eviscerated. I guarantee you there won't be one if she gets into office. All she's got to do is get a couple of justices in, and we're done. This country's toast. Now, Chevy says, need shout out. Give Chevy a shout out. Give BZ Watchdog a shout out. He says he got written up and got the word Friday. Chevy, thank you again, dude. Man, Chevy, you are on a roll today. I really appreciate you supporting my channel, brother. I mean, it really means a lot to me. Now, George says, I saw a police car stop in the middle of the street fishing for somebody to do something wrong. Before I get into the store, I recorded it. When I get out, he wasn't there anymore. Well, George, we're going to get into a lot of crazy stuff tonight on this show. And then I'm going to also get into what the U.S. Supreme Court says about a lot of this stuff. But right now, there are so many videos that I want to show you, reaction video. So put in the sidebar, this is a reaction video. And type it in the sidebar. I'm going to play a reaction video. And the reason I'm going to play this video for y'all is because there are a lot of things about this video that I don't agree with. So I'm going to try to break down, because a lot of the stuff that's on YouTube, I don't recommend that you Team MPE. Thanks, Chevy. There's man, there are a lot of things. I'm touched by you, Chevy. Thank you so much, brother. There's a lot of things going on on YouTube and a lot of the Cop Watch channels, it's not the law. And what I don't want is for anybody on Team MPE to end up in jail. So we're going to watch this one first, and I'll tell you after it's over what I agree with and what I disagree with about.
Logical cabbage for you to chew on as you follow me down a rabbit hole. The term police comes from the 1500s French word meaning policy. So cops are not law enforcers, they are policy enforcers. And where do these policies come from? They come from the political class. So these so-called laws are really the commands of politicians written down on pieces of paper and backed by the threat of force. And here's the rub. When policy enforcers interact with you and me, it's incumbent on them to prove that their policies actually apply to us. And guess what? Not one of them does. So this changes our entire worldview that we've been taught and indoctrinated with since we were little bitty kids. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section below.
Okay, so that is this guy has got, I'm going to subscribe to him anyways. His name is Salty Stranger, I guess. I'm going to drop his link for you. I mean, the fact that he's out there trying, that's cool. But I'm going to break down what's wrong with what he said. And I think some of you guys already know. Okay, it is true that the word police does come from a French word that means policy. And it is true that police do enforce policies, and that's the job. But policies can also include enforcing the law. It could be the police policy to enforce an actual legislative enactment, which would be considered law. Now, I know many people say that statutes aren't the law, but actually they have the force and effect of law. When the legislature passes a law that you're not to do or do something, it has the force and effect of law. And so as a result, unlike, for example, common law murder, all right, common law murder, an unjustifiable taking of life of one person by another, unjustifiable. So homicide is just the killing of one person by another. An unjustifiable homicide is a murder. Now, some states have codified that. They've passed a legislative enactment, so it's more readily defined to make it easier for a court or a jury to be able to determine what a murder is or isn't. Because to be honest with you, the English common law definition is vague and ambiguous to some people, right? So there's batteries that are statutes. There are assaults that are statutes, RAPEs that are statutes, and they're also common law crimes. So I just want you guys to understand that just because it's the policy enforcer that's enforcing the law doesn't mean that everything that they're doing is just a policy that has no force and effect in law. So just understand that. He's a little bit off, but I appreciate the history lesson because now you guys understand. And thanks, Jonesy. Thanks, Brick. Yeah, Brick knows what I'm talking about. It's that, there are some times that the common law definitions are codified. They call it codified. They put it into a code, right? The secret code that only lawyers know, right? That's, they say the reason why lawyers get paid big bucks is because they can speak Latin. I don't know if you guys ever heard that one before, but I think it's kind of funny. So now here's this next video. This is this dude. It's Lexipol, and I'll drop this link too before I start the video. And I'm trying to be, fair with all these guys because this guy seems to be more pro-cop. And so I'm going to play this for you, and then I'm going to break down what I agree with and disagree with. And then I've got a cool one coming up in a little bit, the Long Island audit one that I really like. By the way, guys, I really like Long Island audits. I don't know what you guys think of him, but I appreciate what he's doing because I think he's got the right demeanor. I like the way he talks to people. I just think he's on the right track. And give me a bunch of ones if you like him. Give me a bunch of twos if you don't. I don't care one way or another because everybody on my channel has the right of free thought. I'm not here to try to be your great leader or some cult leader. My job is to help teach you people how to become critical thinkers and help educate you because I have a good education. I'm a street smart guy and I have really good critical thinking skills, and I want you to have those same skills. If I can help you become a better person, then so be it. That's what God's called me to do. Let's watch this video.
Gordon Graham here with today's tip from Lexipol. And today I'd like to talk to all my law enforcement friends about publishing your agency policies online. What? You know what? The idea of sharing policy for the world to see might seem a bit unnerving or stupid. However, doing so helps create transparency, educates the public, and illustrates your agency's commitment to professionalism. Let's take a look at an example. A patrol officer handles a call that results in an arrest. All policies are adhered to, and the arrest is legal. However, the arrestee thinks the officer violated policy. So there's three ways this can play out. First, let's say the officer works for an agency that requires a public records request to view the policy content. You know what? It's highly unlikely the arrestee is going to choose to navigate the bureaucratic hoops and the maze to view the policy in question. Instead, they will go on believing the policy was violated during the arrest. Or maybe in spite of the red tape, the arrestee submits a records request. In the end, the person gets their hand on the applicable policy. It ultimately reveals, you guessed it, the cop did the job right, the policy was adhered to. But this still costs the agency valuable time. Hey, guess what? There's a third scenario. What if the officer works for an agency that publishes policy content online? In this case, the arrestee can go to the agency website and check. And guess what? The facts show the arrest was conducted within agency policy. Three scenarios, three outcomes. One of the outcomes creates division and mistrust. The other costs the agency valuable.
Well, all the outcomes create division and mistrust, because I don't care what their policy is. If they're violating someone's unalienable rights, it doesn't matter what their policy is. So I disagree with them on that, but let's keep watching.
Administrative time. But the third saves time and builds trust within the community. Providing your policies online reduces administrative time from processing Public Records Act requests. It also helps educate the public and creates transparency. So put those policies out there and make them easy to access. We really have nothing to hide. And doing so is win-win for both your agency.
Well, hold on a minute. I got it. Chevy. Chevy says the perfect crime was committed last night. Someone broke into the police station and stole all the toilets. Police say they have nothing to go on. Oh, man. So anyways, I kind of like this guy's video. What he's trying to say is that it makes more sense for the police to post their policy online. And I agree with him. But just as National says, policy doesn't override law. But he's talking federal law. So one thing we all have to understand is the U.S. Code, Title 18, Section 242, that is a federal code. Now, under the 10th Amendment, the states also have the right to make their own laws and codes as well. And the only time that a federal law is going to subsume state law is when the federal law occupies that entire field, which is pretty rare. Typically, when it comes to criminal statutes and things like that, the state law is going to be the supreme law unless it goes against one of our unalienable rights. And the 14th Amendment Due Process Clause, which protects your unalienable fundamental rights, would then come into play. And that's when you could come in and sue for a civil rights violation, which we can get into in a little bit. But that was I just kind of like that video. Now we're going to get into the stuff that I really like. And then this is one of these videos where I'll break in and talk a little bit. But I think you guys know what's coming. This is the fun part. So let's go. This is why you guys all come here. Please type in the sidebar. This is a reaction video. This is a reaction video.
Down until you leave. Next step is to call the police.
Long Island Audit.
I am Long Island Audit. How are you?
Love this guy.
He shut down services to everybody, and I was just telling them, listen, I'm just exercising my First Amendment right.
I'm not sure if they're trained with that.
Now you're trespassing is the way I look at it.
Okay, well, that's why we have the law enforcement.
Before stop.
Okay, well, it's a good thing you're not a law enforcement officer. See that camera above your head? They're always watching you.
If I am and I see my owner, I will get a lawyer.
They do have a policy that specifically states that they don't allow people to record here.
So
Policy doesn't trump the United States Constitution.
Right.
But you're not policy enforcement, sir.
But here's the
You're
thing,
law
it
enforcement.
have to leave.
Going to arrest me if I don't leave?
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. He's right.
Transportation here in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. We are here today, as always, to peacefully exercise our First Amendment right to film in public and publicly accessible areas, to promote transparency and accountability within our government, and to ensure that our public servants recognize our rights and treat us with respect.
Amen.
Let's get into it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're just getting inside the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation here. Immediately greeted with our friendly reminder that the government is always recording us, even though it always seems to be an issue when we, the people,
record
record our
them.
government.
That's
There's
right.
our unconstitutional signage, no recording, or
We have a policy.
I was just taking a look at that sign. Yeah, I saw that. Do you know what statute that sign is enforced under?
Age go. You can see the
Sir?
age go.
So this is the testing area over here. I guess he doesn't want to answer us.
Good morning or good afternoon, sir.
You have a cheat sheet?
Yes, I do.
You have a cheat sheet
Okay, yep,
for a man with a camera?
yes.
Really?
Really.
What is the security threat or a safety issue
Because we
or
have
what's going on?
People sensitive items not on a desk and everything else, and computers are working. So if
Do you mind if I get your first name?
No.
So you're not going to identify yourself as a
I
public
don't have
servant?
to. I'm calling my supervisor right now.
Right.
And then we'll go from
Can
there.
I tell you, just based on my personal anecdotal experience, that I've been in a lot of government buildings and I've never
I'm glad
once
you have been, sir.
received any sort of private or
So just really quickly, it probably is the policy of this agency that they have to identify themselves when asked. Public servants need to identify themselves. So that's already, this guy probably has violated the policy of this government organization. Give me a bunch of ones if you think this guy's probably already violated a policy. And remember, policy violations can be held against the public servant, but as a general rule, they can't be held against you unless that policy encompasses also a law. Like if there's a policy that you're not allowed, to punch someone in the face, well, that's also a battery, right? But for him, if there's a policy that he has to identify himself, then he's already in breach of that policy. Think about that.
confidential
You can come out here all
information?
you want to and everything else, but you cannot go in that room, or I can shut the whole facility down until you leave.
Well, I don't want you to do that. I'm just taking some pictures and video.
Okay, so shutting down the whole facility because this guy's in there exercising a fundamental right, I can think of one. You guys ever heard of equal protection? He's denying Long Island Audit's equal protection under the law. Arbitrary and capricious enforcement of the Constitution. If you come in and you exercise a fundamental right, we're going to deny you the right to enter this building and we're going to shut it down for the entire public, right? But if you don't come in with a camera, then everybody gets to enjoy their fundamental rights. Clearly, this guy is well, I'm not going to say that word because I don't want to get the thought police to take down this channel, but I think Brick Jonesy knows what I want to say right now. By the way, look at this guy, man. Look at his tattoos. He really thinks that he's special, huh?
Make sure you get Miss Monica on the phone so I can get hold of.
Can I speak to a supervisor, sir?
Chevy, shout
I just had a
out.
couple questions.
Everybody
questions.
give a bunch of love for Chevy.
Calling her right now.
Okay, thanks.
Rules for us,
Their
but
new
not for
tactic,
them,
ladies
Brick
and
Jonesy.
gentlemen,
Yeah,
is
thanks,
to
Brick.
close down the
Thank you, Chevy,
DMV
again,
in
brother.
order to get all the people that are inside angry with you
Double tap that screen. Hit that like and subscribe
turn against
button.
you for simply exercising your constitutional rights.
All right, sir. Orally inform
Back-
you-
back to the
Thanks,
cheat
Kevin.
sheet.
Not permitted within the facility. Going to show the signs that shows that you are not prohibited, is not allowed inside. Please ask the individual to politely stop recording. If the individual continues to record, announce to customers counter service are going to be delayed. Have employees stop processing, politely inform the individual to leave the DLC, and then the next step is to call the police.
All right, well, I'm
Well,
not going to
please.
so you have to call them then.
No problem. Greg?
He's not doing anything wrong. So
They shut down the DMV over a camera, yet there's so
the guys at the DMV, right? He's filming, and look, there's cameras all over the place. So it's okay to be surveilled by Big Brother, but when a fellow citizen comes in, like BZ Watchdog says, check this out. I'm going to put him up on the screen. Check this out. BZ Watchdog says, I can come in with a hidden camera and they wouldn't know. Why exercising my rights by being transparent now a crime or policy? Well, yeah, why is that a crime or policy violation? That's the problem, guys. Think about it. We're being surveilled 24/7 by Big Brother. But when a fellow citizen comes in and just wants to exercise a fundamental right, they're targeted. And people are being conditioned to hate their country, starting with the public school system and then clearly through the college system. I mean, they come out of there like waving hammer and sickle flags, burning American flags, waving Palestinian murder flags. I mean, it's just unbelievable what's happened to this country in the last 3 or 4 years. It's like it's unrecognizable. And you see the same. This is ridiculous. They're gonna kick this guy out and call the police because he's doing what they're doing with cameras all over the place. And like BZ Watchdog said, if he came in with a hidden camera, it wouldn't be a problem. Oh, well, it's disruptive. My feelings are hurt. That's the European system. In Europe, like in Germany, they have the crime of insult. It's actually a crime. You can go to jail for insulting someone. Well, guess what, guys? We threw off the chains of Europe and established a constitutional republic precisely because we didn't want to be like Europe. And now what's happening is part of the political class is trying to make us just like Europe. And people like George Soros and Bill, you know who, they want to be the stakeholders, buy up all the farmland. You see it happening, guys. They're trying to make us like Europe. We don't want to be Europe. Give me a bunch of ones if you want to be Americans, guys. Give me a bunch of ones if you love our constitutional republic. If you remember the stories of Paul Revere, if you remember the famous battles against the Redcoats and how proud you were to be an American when you were a young lad growing up, probably at least for my generation. Give me a bunch of ones if you still remember that. That's what we want. That's what we want, right, Chevy? Right, Selwindon? Right, Jeff? Right, Age Go? Right, Brick? Even though, Brick, you're a lot younger. Brick, what are you, about 25? Probably, you're probably like 22. You look pretty young, but I think you got it going on, man. I think you understand. I think that you were given the gift of gnosis, Gnosis. I think that you have that spiritual gift where you're a young man in an old man's body. You got an old man's spirit. Let's keep going.
So many of their cameras everywhere that are public record. It just makes no sense.
Well,
Not
the
getting
Republic.
anybody's personal information. Nothing's going on here. It's just an intimidation tactic to turn the people against us. That's just the way it works here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, law enforcement has arrived. See if we can speak to them before they even get in here and get fed poison by the public servants here. It's ridiculous. Hopefully they honor their oath to the United States Constitution here. Hey guys, how are you? I'm
Me
doing
too,
well.
National.
Island Audit.
I am Long Island Audit. My name's
Oh
Sean
my
Paul Reyes,
God.
sir.
Nice
How are
to
you?
meet you, man. How are you?
Hey, mind if I
Good.
get your name and badge number, sir?
Yeah, Officer Prada, Union Township Police 3804.
Thank you. You mind if I get your name and badge number, sir?
Lincoln 3808.
Thank you. How
What's
are you?
going on?
Nothing. I was just taking some pictures in the lobby. I wasn't getting no screens or anything like that. And they shut down services to everybody. Ronald here, he shut down services to everybody. And I was just telling them, listen, I'm just exercising my First Amendment right in the public lobby. I wasn't going behind any counters. I wasn't even in the area where they're actually helping people. You know, but he says apparently I can get confidential information from the lobby there. I don't.
I'm not sure if they're trained with that.
Yeah, they are. He has like a whole script. He has like a script that he reads. It's like a little cheat card that he reads, and he's like, I'm now shutting down services because there's a threat to privacy when I'm literally standing in the lobby, in the public lobby, where anybody can see, write it down, surreptitiously record, you know, if they wanted to have nefarious purposes. So
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk to them.
yeah, sure, no problem. No problem. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Now, I'm pretty sure it's a crime to deny the public access to a public institution like this during regular business hours. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think that BZ Watchdog needs to get out his public records requests and start doing some research, because I think they're denying equal protection and a bunch of other laws here.
So far, so good. Law enforcement officers seem to be, looks like one of them was,
Thank you, Chevy. You're too kind, brother. Chevy! Everybody like and subscribe. Give me a bunch of ones for Chevy.
I'll tell
Give me a bunch of ones for Chevy. I'm going to rewind this because I was talking over me. Chevy's on a roll tonight. I appreciate it, Chevy. Thank you, my mods, for getting rid of Adolph McDuck. We don't need Adolph McDuck here. Thank you so much for saying hasta la vista, ducky. We're going to go ahead and put it back a little bit so you guys can enjoy this without being harassed by some commie Obama supporter. Right, guys? Give me a bunch of ones. Ooh, raw, semper fi, do or die. Let's get back into the video.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk to them.
Yeah, sure, no problem. No problem. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
So far, so good. Law enforcement officers seem to be, looks like one of them was a supporter of the channel.
Yeah, so.
Okay, I have to ask you, what's the point of what you're
It's
doing?
inside the building.
I'll tell you if you would like.
Please
What's that?
No, I'm not, I was just
Yeah.
wondering.
No, she just wants to learn. That's fine. It's fine. I'll tell you. Sure, no problem. So, yeah, so the point, if you want to know, the point of what I do is I actually work with police departments across the country on First Amendment training. I'm an activist, so I go into public buildings like this. DMVs especially have a history of treating people really poorly, and no, for the most part, and or public servants. I've seen them. My channel, you'll see.
Right on, Brick.
That's fine. If they're good, then I want to highlight that too. That's why I highlight good officers and I call out bad ones and the good public servants and bad public servants. I think there should be transparency and accountability within our government. Don't you? No?
I have never had a bad experience here ever, and I'm
Well-
5 years old.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Just because you didn't have a bad experience doesn't mean somebody else didn't have a bad experience, ma'am.
No, I understand that.
That's all. I'm just trying to end.
Because this is bullshit being stopped.
Yes, and now we got.
Well, no, and listen, but he stopped. Listen, he stopped.
Mine one day off,
I can
too.
get here and they stopped.
Yeah, but is that my fault or theirs?
It's your fault.
How is it my fault? I'm not getting
You're
any.
not recorded on premise.
That's a sign, sir. That's not a law. That's a sign that they
See,
put
you
up.
just messed up
There
my
used to
whole
be signs that say,
afternoon.
you know,
Messed up my whole afternoon.
I didn't do what they did. Talk to the public servant that you pay tax dollars to that is not serving you, sir.
Okay, well, he just asked you to leave and you didn't. So now you're trespassing. is the
What?
way I look at it.
Trust
Okay, well, that's why we have the law
Leave or be
enforcement officer.
forced out.
Okay, well, it's a good thing you're not a law enforcement officer, sir.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
He's the one talking about forcing me out.
I'm not saying to you. I'm just saying both of you is trying to argue.
Let's go back to 4:45 so we can get our stuff done.
3:45. I would love for them to get back to your stuff. I would love that.
Yeah, he's still there. He won't leave.
So we pick and choose, though. Pick and choose.
This is a product of the public education system. These people have no idea that they live in a country that has a First Amendment. They think that if somebody who works for the government, because that's how you're trained in school, right? The bell rings, the teacher has the authority. Now the public servant has the authority. It's no longer a public servant. He's your master. They're literally brainwashed into thinking that if some public servant puts up a sign, that means that you have to leave. But it's unbelievable to me that these people are actually talking. And look at how kind and considerate Long Island Audits is. I mean, this guy's a gentleman, guys. He's a gentleman. He's not causing trouble. They should be more pissed off about the surveillance cameras that are watching them 24/7. They should be upset about the government. The government doesn't have a warrant and they're doing it. Where's the warrant? The government's supposed to abide by the Fourth Amendment. Private citizens aren't. Oh, here we go. Another one from Chevy. Big Chevy. Big Chevy says the reason politicians like to stand on their record is to keep the voters from examining it. Oh my God. Everybody give a like, click on Chevy's super chat right there and give a bunch of thumbs up to it, please. And press reply. Give a reply to Chevy and say, thank you, Chevy. Everybody, what you guys got to understand is that when guys like Chevy come in here and support my channel, it makes it possible for me to spend more time and produce more quality content. So he's basically funding this show for you guys today. So really, like, thank Chevy. Everybody thank Chevy for helping me support my channel. I really appreciate it a lot. And then Brick Jones, he said, Mammy's law is not respected at times, and thus neutral law will take effect. That's for sure. The DMV is definitely not a private entity. That's what Tam Witt says. Dakota says, complete gentleman, and I don't see any ounce of aggression. That's right, man. Hey, we got Calgary Community Watch watching from Canada. Calgary, I thought all you guys were hardcore leftist commies in Canada, or trying to like run off with little boys, like school teachers run off with all the little boys. So thanks, man. I thought Canada was done for, man. So it's with Trudeau, whoo, barf, man. I feel for you, brother, because I can tell. And I'm not making fun of Canada in general. I can't believe how the communists have completely destroyed Canada. They've overrun your country with people who don't care about it from foreign countries, who hate you and treat you like you're second-class citizens in your own land. I feel terrible for Canada. Give me a bunch of ones for the few patriots that are still left in Canada, like Calgary Community Watch, Semper Fidelis Calgary Community Watch. I had a lot of friends from Canada back in the day. Most of them lived in BC, but they were pretty, libertarian-minded, conservative-minded people. I don't know what the hell happened to Canada, man, but I appreciate it that you're keeping the police accountable, Calgary. Now let's get back into, and again, I'm telling you, man, Long Island Audits, I've asked, I always go on a show and comment and say, hey, man, I'd love to interview you. He never responds. I don't know, maybe he doesn't like me, but even if he doesn't, I'm still going to support him because I don't care if he likes me or not. What I care about is the service that he's doing to the public with government accountability operations. Give me a bunch of ones for Long Island Audits.
Choose our rights in this country, right? Second Amendment's okay.
Most people don't waste their day going around recording what they actually do work.
This is my job.
People's time.
My taxes will say that this is my job. That's all.
And this is why our country's screwed up today because of this generation.
Well, it's because people want to support the Second Amendment, but you don't care about the First or any of the other ones. Most people are so ignorant they don't even understand the Constitution. It's our education system that's failing us.
That's right.
This generation don't understand that.
Transparency in government. See that camera above your head? They're always watching you. But for your safety, right? It's for your safety.
I have nothing about it, so I don't have to worry.
Remember when they take away your rights little by little, it's for your safety and security, ma'am. Real sensitive information out here.
People in your video don't want to be seen, then what?
Well, if you didn't want to be seen and you come up to me nicely and you say, hey, and you don't work for the government, you say,
I
hey,
really don't want to be seen on the video.
yeah. So if you come up to me nicely and you say, hey, sir, I really prefer not to be in your video, I would
I said that
blur.
you're walking through here.
Yeah,
Oh, that's fine.
Twice over there.
Okay.
And you're still filming right now.
Well, I'm filming you. That doesn't mean I'm going. But again, the attitudes, if you're going to act entitled, like you can tell another free American what they're going to do or not, that's different. Then I don't have to listen to you. But if you wanted to be, respectful, like I've been this entire time, and
You're not being respectful.
Okay.
Because you're taking away our rights of getting our stuff done.
I'm not doing anything, ma'am. He did that. The man that you pay tax dollars did that to you, not me.
Be glad they tax dollars for it.
Man, this guy, he is so civil. I just cannot believe this guy. I'm telling you right now, guys, he's more civil than me. I get out of hand on my show. Long Island Audits, this guy, he's a special guy. I don't care what anybody says. The way he behaves is just exactly the way my pastor taught me in private school. At Calvary Christian School, we must be courteous, considerate, and kind to others. He is the epitome of a kind and considerate gentleman. Give me a bunch of ones for Long Island Audits. Hats off to Long Island.
The cops have taken care of me, they've taken care of me, you haven't. They have.
They're not, though. They're not right now.
I prefer me
Because you
or my
stalked
daughter
them.
to be seen, please.
Sure, no problem, ma'am.
And I'm asking nicely too. I don't want to be on your video.
Oh, okay.
And I already asked twice.
And if I am and I see my on there, I will get a lawyer because I literally told you I did.
You will get a lawyer. That's fine.
If you want, I'll talk to here. If you want me to talk here.
Sure, it's fine. Whatever.
So I talked to them. They called up their manager.
Right.
I guess they do have a policy that specifically states that they don't allow people to record here.
Right.
So they're wanting you to leave.
Right. So,
And it's in their policy, specifically.
I understand that it's their policy, but the policy doesn't trump the United States Constitution or
Amen.
our rights. And
Well, that's something you got
If you
to.
walk into a dispensary that don't allow recording.
That's something you got to take up. That's something you got to take up with the state.
Well, they're
I
not.
mean,
They're
you
not. They're
have
not
it all
forced.
on-
Right.
You have it all on camera.
Right.
That's something. But with when they call us and it specifically states that they want you. I called the manager up. They want you to leave. So
Right. So again, all right. That's and
Yeah, I mean, now,
it's
and
their
here's the thing,
policy,
now, if
but
you-
you're not policy enforcement, sir.
But here's the
You're
thing:
law
if
enforcement.
they're telling us for you to leave and they don't want you here, that's
But
our
I'm not
job.
breaking any laws. This is a public building.
But they don't want you here. You're disrupting.
So-
their
So if somebody didn't want me here
business.
because I was, a
There's
Muslim
private-
or
there's-
Jewish
no, there's
citizen,
private information.
where?
Equal protection.
Where?
Up there when they go.
I was nowhere near there.
But again, it's at their discretion. They don't allow any.
But when you,
Not true.
officer, when you allow people, when you allow public servants to have discretion,
Yeah.
what's next? It's because I'm holding a camera in my hand in a public lobby, or is it going to be because of skin color, race?
Yeah, they just don't want you here. So obviously, you have to leave.
All right. Well, are you going to arrest me if I don't leave? Because then that's what I need to, that's what I need to hear, so they're able to hold you
Yeah.
accountable, because
Yes.
that's.
No, that's again, when we get called to a place, and that's our.
But your job is to uphold your constitutional oath, sir.
Right.
Yes, again, I'm just telling you, that they want you to leave, so
And if I do not leave, you'll arrest me.
we'll have to, yeah. And I don't think that's gonna,
Can I please?
I don't think it's gonna solve it.
Sure.
She's trying.
I don't want to get, listen, ma'am, let me talk to the officer, and it's going to be over in a second. I don't want to get arrested. Okay. I'm not going to get arrested. There's the court system is how the court system. Okay, ma'am. Being nasty again doesn't get you what you
Please
want.
don't carry on.
It doesn't
It's
get
just-
you what you want.
no,
They're
please don't
carrying on with
carry-
me.
I just don't engage them. But
They're
what I'm
doing-
just saying is they want you to leave. That's something that you got to contact the state and take up with them.
But you're the one enforcing it, though.
Yes, I have to. enforce
Okay.
it.
No, he doesn't.
Excuse me. I had such high hopes for you guys. I really did.
So by what they did, now I just want to point out something to you guys. It's really interesting. He made a comment. If I was Muslim or like a black person, for example, would you arrest me for that if they complained or they said I have to leave? Because he's pointing out there's an equal protection issue here. He's filming, which is a fundamental First Amendment protected right in a public area. They have no right to ask him to leave. But if he was a Muslim person or maybe somebody with really bad body odor, they couldn't make him leave. Just because they have a policy is not law. So what did he do? Well, they said, if you don't leave, you're going to be arrested. So those are the magic words, because once they threaten you with arrest, now you get to sue them. And I'm telling you right now, he has every right to sue him. And eventually law enforcement is going to come to the conclusion that you don't enforce policy that violates the Constitution. So what he is doing is an invaluable, a very valuable thing to people who believe in the Constitution and freedom. But the best thing that you can do, honestly, is to make babies, have as many kids as you can, and homeschool them. Don't let them anywhere near a public school, because they're going to end up just like that lady in the lobby, totally brainwashed with a total lack of understanding of what made America great. Totally okay with being surveilled, totally okay with cops violating your rights, but not okay with you upholding her rights, because by him doing that, he's actually protecting her rights. Think about that. Give a bunch of ones for Long Island audits. Let's let him finish his show.
I had such high hopes. There's nobody being hurt, nobody being bothered.
Yeah.
None of
All
that.
right. Thank you. We have to continue on business here, all right?
Insane. You guys don't have body cameras here?
With that?
You guys don't have body cameras?
Yes, yeah, we have.
Oh, but you don't.
I'm working on off-duty detail. I came to assist because there was some disturbance.
Working off duty.
A disturbance, a camera, right. Got it. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
So when you're working off duty, that's a pretextual reason to not have to have a camera. See the way they get around things, guys? That's why you always never don't film. Always film police, because they'll always have an excuse. Oh, my camera accidentally got turned off, etc., etc. Always film the police.
Well, we're going to be holding them accountable. This is insane. I had such high hopes for these officers here. What department is it? Can't even see it from the vehicle. Parked right below the American flag and the constitutional rights. So the woman who asked me nicely to blur her face out, her face will be blurred with her daughters because she asked me nicely. Everybody else were completely arrogant, condescending, trying to escalate the situation.
By the way, that was an example of democracy. Okay, I got to point this out. That was an example of democracy. The rights of the mob, that's democracy. Demos, the Greek word for mob. America is a constitutional republic where the rights of the individual reign supreme. Public schools won't teach you that, and Marxist college professors will obfuscate it and say, no, we're a democratic republic. Show me one founding document that mentions the word democracy. Just show me. You won't be able to. Remember, a democracy is where two wolves and a sheep show up for dinner and decide what's on the menu. A republic is where two wolves and a well-armed sheep show up and decide what's on the menu. Words mean things, guys. Repeat after me. Words mean things. Let's let him finish.
And look, just to prove the point, look how ridiculous this is. Everything that I was filming before, I could film right from the window. It's ridiculous. and they can close those window shades, that's fine, but it's ridiculous. I had such high hopes for these officers here, man. He knew who I was, and he just backed down to public servants here. Absolutely ridiculous. The Union Police Department. Let me make sure I get a good photo of it. Absolutely ridiculous. They dishonored their oath to uphold the United States Constitution. It's just a sign. It's ridiculous. If we allow them to take away our rights little by little, we're going to be left with nothing. In the sake of privacy, in the name of privacy and protection, we're here to protect you. We're the government. We're here to protect you. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Have a good day, sir. All right.
I'll have a better
Try to
day.
have a better one.
I'll try to have a better one, sir. You could have did the right thing. You could have been the hero, not the villain of the story. Enforcing policy is not law.
That's right.
Threatening a man with arrest for peacefully exercising his First Amendment right. We'll never know what they said inside of there because he doesn't have a.
Again, that was an example of the democracy, right? The majority rules. Who cares about the individual? That's a democracy. Now, in a republic, the idea is that the rights of the minority can never matter unless the rights of the individual matter first. So I recommend that you guys take a look at Ayn Rand, some of her writings, some of her books. I'm a recovering Democrat. I am a true Democrat. I am a classical liberal. But, now that I understand, I later learned what Democrat means, and I just don't even go by the word. I don't like the word anymore. I'm a classical liberal, like Hayek or Thomas Jefferson or Ayn Rand, Ayn-Rand. I recommend you take a look at some of their works. Blackstone's commentaries on the English law, Hayek. I mean, really, guys, there's so many. Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations, another great book. Common Sense, another great book. There's so many amazing things that you guys can learn from these historic documents that to a large degree our country was based upon originally. Amazing stuff. So that was an example of Long Island audits. And look, every auditor has their style, right? And I like the guys that get crazy too and go bananas, because my whole role here as a lawyer is to educate you. And again, if someone's out of control, as long as they're not hurting someone, they have the right to be that way. And the police need to regulate themselves. So let's get into the next video. This is that guy we watched earlier who seems to be like pro cop. But I just want to talk about both sides. I want to let both sides have their say.
Gordon Graham here with today's tip from Lexipol. And today's tip is mostly for my cop friends, but it also applies to all government employees. Today's tip is about something that has been called the First Amendment audit. Now, where's Graham going with this? I never heard about any First Amendment audits. Well, here's a newsflash for you. We have all seen videos online of cops saying and doing things they shouldn't. Unprofessional things, rude things, stupid things, and sadly, even illegal things. The idea of people video recording police officers, police buildings, and other public spaces is nothing new. And people have been trying to bait or goad police officers into acting unprofessionally long before video cameras were ever invented. In the last few years, a variation of this seems to be increasing in popularity. It's called the First Amendment audit. And if you have not yet been audited, you've got a plan. This is going to happen to you. Basically, a person, or more often a group of people, will enter a public building while openly video recording. Many times, the camera person will also be narrating. They will engage in discussion or banter with employees and with police officers who respond. Now, as a proud citizen of this great nation, I have tremendous respect for people who sincerely desire to hold their government accountable. Frankly, we should welcome this idea. And we all know that the vast majority of law enforcement personnel around this country are up to the task.
And we all know that the vast majority of First Amendment auditors are up to the task. They're trying to hold government public servants who think that they're the master accountable. Why doesn't he say that? I don't get it.
But sadly, unfortunately, videos of officers passing and doing everything right do not go viral on the internet. Many of these folks seem to pre-plan their words and actions. It's probably safe to say that at least some of them expect and even hope for a certain response. Some may be trying to bait you into an argument. Some may be openly disrespectful, rude, and condescending. It doesn't matter if you think you're being recorded or not. Be polite, be friendly, be a professional, be helpful. Do not engage in debate or argument. You can't win this. You might give a stellar speech, well-founded in law, fact, and logic, but there really is no winning an argument in this setting. The public's right to record in public spaces is guaranteed by the First Amendment.
Thank you.
When you took your oath, you swore to uphold the Constitution,
he's right.
and this includes the First Amendment. Be vigilant in protecting this important right. Look forward to your next opportunity to pass an audit with flying colors. And that is today's tip from Lexipol. Gordon Graham signing.
Not bad, Gordon Graham. I kind of like what Gordon Graham had to say there. He kind of did a good job there. So before we get into the next videos, I'm going to show you some reaction videos of police violating their own policies and then police accusing people of violating policies as a pretext to arrest people. But let's talk about the U.S. Supreme Court a little bit, guys, because this is kind of important. Does the U.S. Supreme Court say policy is not law? Because we just saw that a law enforcement officer come and kick Long Island Audit out under threat of arrest because the DMV has a policy of not letting people film. But why didn't they rip their cameras out of the ceiling in the process? Right? It doesn't make any sense. Give me a bunch of ones if you think that's called an arbitrary and capricious enforcement policy. Now let's get into what the Supreme Court says. The U.S. Supreme Court has indeed addressed the distinction between law and policy in various contexts, which can be summarized as follows. Legal versus policy distinction. The Supreme Court, along with legal theory in general, makes a clear distinction between law, which is enacted by legislatures and interpreted/created by courts, and policy, which can be guidelines, internal rules, or directives by administrative bodies or organizations, including government agencies and police departments. Key cases and concepts. Chevron deference. Now, a lot of you guys know about the Chevron case. You know, a lot of people are really stoked because the ATF always think forfeiture, one of the most tyrannical, unconstitutional bodies ever created by man, ever in the existence of the world. The ATF always think forfeiture, always think about taking away the Second Amendment fundamental rights of your fellow Americans. I mean, I don't know how these guys can live with themselves. Anyways, the Chevron case changed all that. Now, if Camel Toe gets in, all this stuff is going to be reversed because they want big government and they want to take away your ability to defend your rights and defend your family. And here's how it works. Well, not directly about policy versus law. This Chevron doctrine, Chevron versus United States, Inc., Chevron USA Inc. versus Natural Resources Defense Council, Inc., 1984, indicates that if a statute is ambiguous, courts should defer to an agency's interpretation of that statute if it's reasonable. Here, agency policies can sometimes influence legal interpretation, but they are not equated with the law. Our difference, similar to Chevron, Our v. Robbins, 1997, suggests that courts should defer to an agency's interpretation of its own regulations. However, this is about regulatory interpretation, not creating law through policy. So the Chevron is no law. So agencies are no longer able to write law. That's an old case, 1984 case. That's all gone by the wayside. Now only the Congress, like our Constitution says, is able to write the law. How they were able to get away with this for so long, like a fifth column, a fifth branch of government, unbelievable, right? So Our v. Robbins suggests that courts should defer to an agency's interpretation of its own regulations. However, this is about regulatory interpretation, not creating law through policy. Administrative law. The Supreme Court has often dealt with cases where policies by administrative agencies are challenged. The court typically evaluates whether these policies fall within lawful authority granted by enabling statutes, but emphasizes that policies alone cannot override or create law outside this authority. Factual. Policy is interpreted by courts. Courts, including the Supreme Court, have consistently held that policies must align with the law or existing statutes. If a policy contradicts or exceeds the law, it can be struck down or ignored in legal proceedings and by police. An example is when courts review police department policies in cases involving civil rights or conduct. Here, policies are examined in light of constitutional protections, not as laws themselves, but as guidelines that must conform to legal standards. Supreme Court's view on policymaking. The Supreme Court has occasionally criticized agencies for overreaching through policymaking, especially if it encroaches on legislative domain. For instance, discussions around non-delegation doctrine imply the legislative branch cannot delegate legislative power to agencies without sufficient standards, suggesting a clear line where policymaking ends and lawmaking begins. Conclusion: while the Supreme Court does not explicitly state policy is not law in a singular ruling or opinion, its jurisprudence supports the principle that policy can never be a substitute for law. Policies are seen as administrative tools that must operate within the bounds of existing legal framework, guys. So the bottom line is what those cops did, they violated Long Island Audit's rights. Now, problem, if you have people like that lady and that guy, those pro-democracy people, right, who think that the mob can rule over your rights on your jury, you'll be lucky if you get $1. That's the problem. So again, that's why I encourage all of you to become critical thinkers and get out there and educate your friends and family. Get your kids out of public schools as soon as you can. I mean, the stuff that they're teaching them, anti-American garbage, Palestinian flags, rainbow flags, what the hell? Whatever happened to the American flag? They teach hatred of their own country. So why would you want, Malcolm X said, why would you let your enemy teach your children? Can you guys answer? Why would you let your enemy teach your children? So again, he might win his case, but the damages issue, the jury may just not like him. Oh, well, he's mean to people at the DMV because he's filming them. So again, without an educated populace and a well-armed populace, it'll be very, very difficult for you to do well in these cases. However, I've seen Long Island Audit do pretty well in some of his cases. So stick to your guns, Long Island Audits. Never give up. And everybody, give me a bunch of ones for Long Island Audits. I think he did a terrific job tonight in this video that we watched. So now let's watch some cops get educated in another video. Here we go. Let me just get the screen back to normal and let's talk. Then let's see how it goes, guys, because there's still hope.
Good, yourself? We're going to the second floor. How much, man? You doing good? What's going on? Nothing, brother.
Just take a picture.
Yeah, just taking some pictures.
If they don't want you in their office.
What?
I said, if they don't want you taking pictures.
Right on, Laura.
It's up to them, so. But if they don't say anything, I don't care.
It's not up to them, brother, but it's fine. We know what we're
It is
doing.
up to them.
Hi. What is that poster about? Caution, dead eye.
Yeah.
Is it like a funny little thing?
Yeah.
So it looks like they're threatening to shoot people if they go back there. What do you guys think?
Is this all for public access in here?
Yeah, but you can't take the camera back there.
No?
No,
It's public access though?
you can go back there and no pictures
Why?
because of legal documents and they cost. You have to pay $1 per page to take a document out.
If it's publicly accessible, we're allowed to bring the cameras in. It's all right though. This is an educational process for everybody.
What's going on, guys?
Nothing at all. Are you like the head recorder here? That's right.
Yeah, what can I do for you? You guys can, what she's trying to tell you is, you just can't take pictures of the pages and use them because they charge $1 a page. The state charges $1 a page in order to preserve them. And
Right.
those are old.
It's for the actual it's because of the labor you guys need to use in order to get us that. You got to use your printer, that's capital. You got to use your labor and the paper and all
Right, I
that.
don't set the rules though. Like,
Right, I
just
know
have
it.
to enforce
Right.
them, yeah.
I'm just here to educate. You know what I mean? So like the First Amendment.
By the way, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and double tap the screen to like, guys. Please do that because when I'm in vertical mode, I never get as many likes. So please do that for me to help support the channel. Thanks.
Says that if it is a publicly accessible area, then the press can go back there and
You
film.
are more than welcome to go back there. We just don't allow you to take pictures of the actual pages.
I'll demonstrate for you guys just so you can see it is allowed. We are allowed to do that.
He's not opening any books, so.
Well, even if we did want to open any books, it's like you can have signs like this all you want, but unless there's an IC code backing it up, that sign is just a suggestion. You guys know what I mean?
Holy crap, Bill. Bill, you just made my night. Ding, 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 ding. Bill Roberts, super sticker. Guys, everybody make sure to like and subscribe to Bill Roberts. Occasionally, he just drops in and just gives me a love gift, Hallelujah, gives me a love gift. And by the way, guys, that's not the only way you can support the channel. You can get a copy, a digital version of my ebook about my journey to becoming a practicing lawyer with no law degree or undergrad. And in this book, I talk about how you don't have to spend $100,000 to get brainwashed by some commie professor, right? I teach you how you can study under a judge or lawyer for 4 years and become a lawyer under the California State Bar Law Office Study Program. And I also cover the other states that allow you to become a lawyer with a similar type of a program without some expensive piece of paper in underwater basket weaving or, African American studies or whatever, a degree that'll never get you a job anyways, basically. So you could be a plumber, you could be an electrician like me, and you could find a way to become a lawyer the old-fashioned way before they had colleges and universities, by studying in a judge's chambers or studying under a lawyer. And so on my journey, I ended up externing for the California Court of Appeal. My background, my strong suit is appellate law. And I also worked for the LA City Attorney, and I opposed all their 1538.5 motions. So I learned how to become a lawyer by doing, not just from being book smart and being brainwashed at how to hate my country like they do on most college campuses nowadays, right, guys? So there's another way to do it. And you can get my book on my journey to becoming a practicing lawyer with no law degree or undergrad by going to my YouTube channel at Michael Eli and just clicking on the description and then dropping that down. And there's a PayPal link. And even if you don't want to read the book, get it for a friend or family member. It's a pretty inspirational story. I'm an honorably discharged, disabled United States Marine, ended up having several small businesses, construction company, limousine company, health club, became #1 in sales at LA Fitness, Bally's Total Fitness corporate wellness director. I was Rodney Dangerfield's limousine driver, sold my limo company, slept on park benches in Venice Beach so I would have enough money to live off of from selling my business to find lawyers to study under. And I studied under several different lawyers. And ultimately, I became a lawyer the old-fashioned way. And it's a really inspirational story. And all I can tell you is there's another really good book you should get called Discipline is Freedom by Jocko Willink. He was a Navy SEAL commander. And that's a really inspirational book as well. But I think my book is more inspirational because it's about real life stuff. As a civilian, I mean, let's face it, not all of us are going to be Navy SEALs. I mean, my story is a real story about a guy who had everything stacked against him. And here I am talking to you guys. And just what an honor and a privilege it is to have all you guys in this sidebar. Super, super cool. I'm just loving it. Rodney was a cool guy. Rodney was awesome. So let's get into it.
Unless there's a
Get
law,
back to the
we
video
can't enforce.
and kaboom.
We're not sign enforcement or law enforcement. So if there is no law, then we could grab, say,
There is a law from the state of Indiana that
What is
tells
that
us
law?
you cannot take a picture out of that book.
All right, let's put the stuff back in here. They allowed you in here, but they said don't look in the, I don't know. But it's their office, okay?
What are you, man? Are you a law enforcement officer?
I'm a retired law enforcement officer.
I see. So
Okay.
after you retired, did you start enforcing?
Oh, real quick, I do see a comment from Josh. Josh, what I'm saying is you don't need to go to law school to be a lawyer. In fact, John Jay, our first Supreme Court justice, he never went to a law school. There weren't any law schools or colleges for that matter until the 1800s. So the traditional way of becoming educated was to do classical education. Classical education. You don't need to have somebody. Those who can do, those who can't teach in a school. You can learn by practical application. You didn't become a samurai if you were Japanese by going to a samurai teacher sitting behind a bench and reading books. You went out and you learned the Bushido code and you became a samurai. You don't learn Taekwondo in Korea by going to a college. You learn it by going to class and learning, in a real class where there's practical application. The best lawyers I've ever met are the ones who are litigators who spend all their time in court. And to be honest with you, I'm one of the best lawyers I know. And I became a lawyer. And then later on, after I was a practicing attorney, I went to law school and got a JD. And I'm telling you right now, it was a complete waste of time. Let's watch the video.
Feelings or?
I'm a bailiff.
Okay.
with the
Awesome,
courts.
man. Great. So are you supposed to be in court or something?
No, I don't have court right now.
Okay. When do you have court?
From time to time.
From time
Just
to
don't
time.
have any right now.
I got you. Are you a law
No, we don't
enforcement
care
officer?
if you're down here. You're fine. But if they say they don't want that,
Right, but just because
well,
yeah,
if they say there's a
we run into this all the time, we're gonna need to get that camera footage from you. Where do you work in here?
I work in voter registration.
Voter registration. Okay, awesome.
What
Thank
is
you.
your name?
If you give me yours, I'll identify.
No, I asked you what your name was.
We always run into this roadblock
Do
too.
you? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
unfortunately.
What I would advise you.
Don't.
You say no?
They just can't take pictures of the page.
Okay.
We can. There's no law.
Well, she said no. Okay.
Well, the
So-
state says, the state level tells us now.
And if that's a policy of your guys's, is that the policy?
She just said it was the
no
state's.
pictures.
It's passed down from the state.
If it's a policy, man,
She
I
said
don't
it was
gotta
the
follow
state and it was the law. Was that
Policy's
correct?
not law.
It's not a law. It's a
She's
policy.
the person in charge here. So she said no.
No, she's not in charge.
Yeah,
here.
she is. She's the office holder.
So what are they going to charge him with, guys? Let's think about it. He's violating a policy that she just decided she would make up and say, this is my policy. You can't be in here. And since I'm a taxpayer funded drone, I'm going to decide that you got to leave because you're filming. Think about that.
He is the office holder. She's
Yeah.
not in charge
Yeah.
of the
Okay.
office. So.
She's the
But you don't get to set rules. and
She's the
laws
office
for it.
holder. Okay.
Man, look. Why are you giving me a hard time?
I'm
here,
not
man?
giving you a hard time.
I'm just trying to do my job, man.
You see, I'm coming down here. They're telling me that you're.
Now, BZ Watchdog says they'll charge him with trespass and disorderly conduct, but I'm pretty sure you can't trespass on public property. Now, disorderly conduct, that's a vague and ambiguous statute, which I would fight all the way to the Supreme Court, because what's disorderly about what he's doing? He's in a public place and he's filming. The only time he's speaking is when they confront him. See the difference? They're actually antagonizing him. So if they would have just left him alone, there wouldn't be an issue. Think about that, guys.
Down here. And I'm down
man,
here with you.
I'm just trying to do my job, brother. If you could just cooperate, we appreciate
We
it. man. All right, thank you. We got the deed record. We got.
This is funny.
And he's continuing to do it anyway.
You know why?
Except for this personal information on there.
This is all public. All of this, I could request all this information, but guys, that's fine. I don't really care for the information. I'm sure
The
you don't.
information, it costs $1 per page if you want to look at it. Okay.
Anything my eyes can see, I can record with my
Just let
camera.
go, it's fine. You can, but you can't open the pages to turn.
If my eyes can see it after I open
No,
them,
that's what the rules is by the person in there.
right? I get
okay?
it. Yeah, policy. They get to set policy for
Right.
employees.
For employees,
But nobody
that's
gets
right.
to legislate except for in Indianapolis, the Congress of our
That's
state
right.
gets to legislate.
He's right.
Do you get what I'm saying, though?
I know what you're saying.
Okay.
But I've got to stand by what we've got our SOPs to follow and stuff too.
Do you guys? You're a law enforcement officer, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You enforce. What do you enforce?
The law.
Okay. So you know that this
But
is
the
a
rule
law.
is-
That this
but
is
the
a
rule
law.
is-
That
but
this
the
is a
rule
law.
is right now, just do what, we don't mind you filming, but out there's voting going on. We can't be doing any of that.
Oh, we know what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do, man. Like this, though, there's simply no law against this, man. This is all public record. If my eyes can see it, I can record it.
Okay, have a good time.
Thank you. So this lady worked in voters registration.
It's
All
a
right,
power
well,
thing.
We'll just put this back. I mean,
The servants have become the master in
Got
this
it.
country, and it needs to stop.
you guys gonna stay with us? All right, awesome. Let's go.
Well, we're getting refreshments and we want to feel at home here.
Well, if you guys are getting refreshments, will you
Remember,
will
we're
you
going
count
out.
me in?
Yeah,
You're voting
well,
right
yeah.
now,
So you can't have cameras going out.
Yeah, no. Look, if they're voting, we're not going to get the booths. None of that
So make
stuff.
sure the cameras are down so they can't vote,
Oh,
see people
look,
voting
man,
and stuff.
We're not gonna.
Thank you.
The, the rule is we're not allowed to just be within like 10 feet of the voting. Hello. I'm sorry.
Can we help you with something?
No, I'm just conducting a bit of an investigation today. What are you guys up to in here? No, I'm investigating, my man. I gotta do my job.
Yeah. Good.
Sheriff's truck behind me. Oh, whoa, where'd you come? I know he's right by me, man. Oh no, we're not running into this again. Are you blocking our way?
That's the prosecutor and the county attorney. For what?
You're the county attorney as well? Okay, we just handed in a public records request to you, man. But I was wondering, why are they trying to tell me this is a restricted area, brother?
There are files back there with
Those are files of confidential, those are criminal files. They're subject to confidentiality purposes.
Okay.
There's information there. It's like a law enforcement investigation. Those aren't accessible.
Okay, in order to make that a restricted area, are you aware what you need to do?
It's restricted. I'm telling you now it is.
Okay. Yeah, you went to 8 years of law school, right? Yeah. Could we get either a door or a wall up here that would make it restricted? But yeah, man, like just as far as this goes, because if these guys weren't here to defend the restricted territory, man, I'd be back there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I told you not to go back there.
Right, but words aren't enough. It's got to be lawful. It's got to be compliant with the law.
I've gotten law enforcement up here.
I got you.
Okay.
Did you say you got law enforcement up here? They aren't enforcing a law. They're enforcing your feelings.
That's right.
Is there anything else we can help you? I mean, I'll get your request.
And then if you could handle that too, because we're going to be back. And we're going to, I mean, if it's still not restricted, man, I'm going to go back there. And if somebody tries to pull me out from back there, that's going to be a civil rights lawsuit.
I'll talk to you about all stuff.
Great. Awesome stuff, man. Awesome. All right. So you guys are not going to allow us back here.
They tell me not to let you back there. So
That's the boss.
All right. Okay.
you know, if you would take it up, if they don't do what they, you know, what
Yeah,
they
no, I
ask
mean,
them.
we always give people one chance.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I
there you
mean?
go.
More than some people around here give, if you know what I mean.
Thanks, guys. And don't forget to visit the CH.
That was wild. That was pretty good, huh? I kind of like that. Pretty good one.
Hi, guys.
Oh,
Today's
hold on
featured
one
channel.
second. All right, so we got the next one here. So now we're getting into police officers getting fired for violating their own policies. So right now we've seen a couple of videos where police are enforcing policies that aren't law. And now they're going to be faced with lawsuits because they're not enforcing the law. They're enforcing feelings or policies that are written by public servants. Now, public servants are supposed to be this big. We, the people, are supposed to be this big. Give me a bunch of ones if you understand what I'm talking about. Public servants are supposed to hold an office of public trust, and they're serving the public. And part of their job is to recognize and uphold the Bill of Rights, not just the ones that they want to uphold, but all of them. And one of them is the First Amendment. And our founding fathers believed strongly in holding government accountable, and they wanted to make sure that citizens could hold their governments accountable by being able to keep them under public scrutiny. The behind the closed doors things, that's what the European model is. That's what the college campus model is, with your safe spaces, because you might get butt hurt, or you might be a racist and hate white people, so you want to self-segregate. But that's not what the Republic is all about. The Republic is about everybody being equal under the law. One republic under the law, and everybody has equal rights, fundamental rights under the law. Policy does not trump that law. The government is supposed to be bound by the chains of the Constitution. And so what we saw just now in these other videos are examples of public servants gone wild who think that they have more authority than we, the people. Precisely the kind of people we do not want to have in office. That's why I encourage everyone to homeschool and get your kids out of these brainwashing academies where they teach hatred of country. They don't even teach the fact. They don't even teach the fact in public schools anymore that the Revolutionary War was sparked over firearms, over the king trying to seize the powder houses. They don't even teach that anymore. The reason why we rebelled against the king, the fundamental reason, what sparked the revolution, was that the British redcoats tried to seize our powder houses where the colonists kept their gunpowder. That's what sparked the war, because all governments know, especially the Europeans, they know that a well-armed populace can throw off an unjust government. And you see what happened, right? The Europeans disarmed their citizens, and now they flooded their countries with jihadists who have their way with their women, burn their churches down. And when the people complain about it, they get thrown in prison by their own government. Their own government has become their enemy in Europe. Do you really want that to happen in this country? Because we're almost there. Over 30 million illegals have just flooded across our border. We have no idea who these people are. They're getting free phones, free everything. Are you guys happy with that you're paying for that? They don't even know about our country, about our Bill of Rights. They don't even teach it in our schools. It's unbelievable what's happening to this country. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk now about policy enforcers, and let's talk about when police violate their own policy.
New tonight, we are getting reaction after the Vallejo Police Department announced they have fired former officer Ryan McMahon for engaging in unsafe conduct and neglect for basic gun safety.
Number one, it was about time. It should have happened a while ago.
Michelle, I noticed that you've been gone, and I was really upset. Everybody give a bunch of ones right now. Michelle Henry. Michelle's back. I thought I had done something to offend Michelle, and I'm so glad. She is such an awesome gal, and so thank God she's back. Everybody give me a bunch of ones for Michelle. Make sure to like and subscribe to Michelle, and everybody make sure to be friendly with one another and be nice to the ladies. I don't want to hear any stuff about the men being mean to the ladies on my channel. Let's keep going.
It was disappointing, though, because he was not really fired for the major events that he was involved in.
Famed civil rights attorney John Burris just settled a close to $6 million lawsuit with the city after Officer McMahon shot and killed Ronell Foster during a traffic stop back in 2018.
There was 2 police shootings that he was involved in, and he should have been terminated for either one or both of them, but he was not.
That's right. We know the officer was indeed involved in the deaths of 2 black men. Last year, Willie McCoy was asleep in his car with a gun in his lap. It happened at a Taco Bell drive-thru when McMahon and 5 other officers fired 55 rounds at him. Again, the Vallejo Police Department will only say he was fired for engaging in unsafe conduct and neglect for basic gun safety.
True, what he was terminated for about putting other officers in danger, but that's not the real point to me. He put the life of Willie McCoy in danger, and he also shot and killed Ronell Foster, which he created. So hollow victory at best.
The Vallejo Police Department chief released this statement saying any conduct outside the level of professionalism this city deserves will not be tolerated by the Vallejo Police Department. I understand we have a long way to go in rebuilding trust among the residents of Vallejo, and I will continue to take the necessary steps to better serve this community.
Did George Floyd present a moment or a movement? And whether it's a movement or not, his proof is in the pudding, and time will tell.
All right. So, that was an example of a man who is simply abiding by his Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. He's got a firearm on his lap. I'm guilty as charged. I'm armed everywhere I go. When I'm in Nevada, I always open carry, and I conceal carry pretty much anywhere else. And why wouldn't you, when your country is flooded us with military-aged males we have no idea where they're from, just like they're doing in Europe? Why wouldn't you be armed when your own government is placing you and your wife and children in danger by just allowing criminals from Venezuela prison gangs to flood across your border. You know, really? So yeah, those guys violated policy. Sure they did, but they violated the Constitution by trying to take this dude out 50 shots, 50 rounds or more. And of course, the policy that they violated was putting their fellow officers in danger. Are you kidding me? What a joke. All right, let's move on to the next one. We'll be done soon, guys. We'll be done soon. But man, what a show. I mean, this is one of my better shows because I'm getting emotional about the craziness in these videos.
Well, tonight, the Greenwood Police Merit Board will decide the future of an officer suspended for allegedly violating ethics standards. Sam Bowen is one of 2 officers currently suspended from the Greenwood Police Department. He's accused of sending offensive messages. In a testament last night, Bowen said that he isn't proud of those messages and claimed they were private jokes. Department leaders are still recommended he be fired. The decision is expected about 5 p.m. tonight.
Yeah, so you just see it's happening everywhere, man. Let's get on to the next one.
Official Tampa police fired 3 of their own today. The decision follows a lengthy internal affairs investigation that we first told you about back in March. 10 TPD officers were involved. Hundreds of cases were reviewed. And as 10 News reporter Eric Glasser shows you, it isn't over yet.
To have to stand here before you and explain this is just an embarrassment for me.
Tampa
Why
Police
don't
Chief
you
Brian
quit?
Dugan announcing the results of a 7-month internal affairs investigation. 3 TPD officers.
Yeah, they investigated themselves, and the chief has decided that he's embarrassed. He should be fired. And like I told you earlier, why are you guys trying to get rid of qualified immunity? Why not just make it a capital offense? That if the police violate your civil rights, it's a capital offense. If you do that, I mean, our founding fathers tarred and feathered public servants for less. Why not make it a capital offense when the king's men violate your rights? Why take away their qualified immunity? That doesn't do any good. They'll just file bankruptcy. You're not going to get any money out of them anyways.
Officers fired. 7 more disciplined.
They have embarrassed our police department. They have placed the community's trust that we have in jeopardy. They have tarnished our brand, and they betrayed the oath that they swore to uphold.
Under the law of vicarious liability, he tarnished his brand because it's the law of master and servant. I guarantee you, this is top down. This is top down. The politicians to the chief of the police, to the street, to the beat cop. All they're doing is matching and mirroring their training and what they've received from their master, the law of master and servant. And what do? They always throw their own under the bus. They always throw their own under the bus. You think this guy's going to lose his job? No, he's just going to throw his officers under the bus. It's his responsibility. If he was a real man, he would have resigned already.
The 3 officers terminated are John Larada, Mark Landry, and Alginas Maceo. Violations include trashing small amounts of drugs instead of making arrests, failing to file reports in cases the officers considered too small to worry about.
You want me to put you in? I can put you in right now.
And repeatedly turning off their body cameras. When you do that, said the chief,
Seems like you have something to hide.
Actually, you know what? If they're not enforcing shitty laws, they should be promoted. So, hey, letting people off, throwing stuff in the trash, give me a bunch of ones. Those are good cops. Now, turning off their body cams, that's a big no-no for me. That's a big no-no for me. But so far, it sounds like these are actually good cops. What do you guys think? Give me a bunch of ones if you think they're good cops for doing justice, because a police officer's job, a public servant's job, should be to do justice, right? To do justice, not just to make an arrest and raise revenue. Maybe this chief is pissed off because the department lost out on money, right? Because what is a charge? Charging somebody something, it's commerce. It's a commercial term.
And there were so many instances that they did this.
there's no evidence, says Chief Dugan, that any of the officers did anything criminal. They didn't keep the drugs to plant on someone else, sell them, or use them. Tests came back negative.
It's all policy violations. But the problem you have with that is they lost their credibility.
As a result, criminal cases the 3 cops were involved with are falling apart. 4 criminal defendants have already seen charges against them dropped.
Well, that's a good
total
thing.
of 5 felonies.
Yes, and there's potential there's going to be more.
And it doesn't end there. As a result of all of this, TPD has launched another investigation, this time into its supervisors, to see if there was adequate oversight.
Cops are human. I don't expect them to be perfect. but I expect them to have character and I expect them to have integrity. And I feel like this was lacking in these three, and they're not worthy of wearing our badge anymore.
Chief Dugan also praised the vast majority of cops at TPD who he said served the community with honesty and integrity. By the way, all of this information about the internal affairs investigation has been shared with Tampa's former police chief, Jane Castor, who just yesterday took office as the city's new mayor.
Oh, goody, goody two shoes. Okay, so here is our last police policy violation video, and then we're gonna watch one more after this, a short, and then we'll close it. We'll close it up with some fun stuff.
Now to the other major news this Monday night, the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin in the death of George Floyd. Tonight, the testimony from the police chief who said that restraint absolutely violated policy. ABC's Alex Perez in Minneapolis again tonight.
You swear or affirm?
Minneapolis Chief of Police Madera Arredondo testifying against one of his former officers, telling the jury that what Derek Chauvin did to George Floyd violated the policy and values of the department.
To continue to apply that level of force to a person proned out, handcuffed behind their back, that in no way, shape, or form is anything that is by policy, is not part of our training, and it is certainly not part of our ethics or our values.
Chief Arredondo recalling the first time he saw the painful cell phone video.
Probably close to midnight, a community member had contacted me and said, Chief, almost verbatim, but said, Chief, have you seen the video of your officer choking and killing that man?
The next day, he fired all the officers involved, and later he took a knee as George Floyd's casket arrived at his memorial service. Today, the chief delivered a blunt assessment of Chauvin's conduct.
Was this a trained Minneapolis Police Department defensive tactics technique?
It is not. I absolutely agree that violates our policy.
Under cross-examination, the defense attorney showing the chief pictures and questioning whether Chauvin's knee was on Floyd's neck the entire time.
Would you agree that from the perspective of Officer King's body camera, it appears that Officer Chauvin's knee was more on Mr. Floyd's shoulder blade?
Yes.
But the chief said Floyd may have already been dead. He did acknowledge neck restraints and chokeholds were allowable at the time.
Both were permitted under Minneapolis police policy on May 25th of 2020. Agreed?
Yes.
The chief later clarifying.
It is contrary to our training to indefinitely place your knee on a prone, handcuffed individual for an indefinite period of time. I vehemently disagree that that was the appropriate use of force.
So let's bring in Alex Perez with us live tonight, again from Minneapolis. And Alex, the police chief, is now the third police official to testify that what Derek Chauvin did that day was wrong.
And so just so you guys know, a lot of the lamestream press didn't really cover this, but they polled the jury afterwards. And the jury agreed that George Floyd died from a drug overdose. This is what they asked the jury afterwards. Here's what they said, that the drugs are what killed him, but it was the officer's failure to get him the necessary medical care that they convicted him of murder for. Now, the lamestream press spun it a different way because, it's sensationalist. I don't know. I wasn't on the jury, so I can't make an opinion one way or another. What I can tell you is this. They came for the military veterans, but I wasn't a military veteran, so I didn't care. They came for the Jews, but I wasn't a Jew, so I didn't care. They came for the blacks, but I wasn't black, so I didn't care. And then when they came for me, there was no one there to stand up for me. And so all I'm saying to you guys is you need to really start thinking about what you want to believe in. If you don't stand up for the guy that's all drugged out and crazy and uphold that person's rights, they're coming for you next. let's go ahead and finish this video.
I'm curious what our reporters, I know they're being allowed in at different times because of COVID, only a few reporters in allowed at once. What are they seeing from the jury, though, so far?
Yeah, David, the jury has always seemed attentive, but it was noted in court today they seem particularly interested in the chief's testimony, almost all of them grabbing their pads and taking notes when the chief said Chauvin's actions violated department policy. David?
All right, Alex Perez there in Minneapolis. Thank you, Alex.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News.
Yeah, we don't need to watch that punk. All right, so let's, I got one more video to show you, and this is a little off, but I just wanted to show you how power corrupts absolutely. And so when you're given this power and you go to the academy and you're taught you have the right to take control and you're the boss and all this, this is the kind of stuff that happens. So this video, we're going to watch it like halfway through and then it's going to rewind itself because I just didn't have time. But
On your phone, and I needed you to get off so that we could travel. Sometimes I'm required to be on my phone. All I can see is this. That's none of your business. All I see is a driver impeding traffic. Beeping a horn at a vehicle is called road rage.
Unmarked car.
For that. For just letting you know that you're impeding traffic. I wasn't angry. I'm impeding traffic. I'm stopped at an intersection. There was no traffic moving, and all I could see was a person on there. How about you pull over your bike and we'll write a ticket? Well, I'm not trying to argue. I'm just telling you what I saw. Tell the judge I was on that phone because I was making a police-related phone call. It's not my goal to argue with you. Or anybody else. Fine. I'll cede to your power. I apologize. I have a I apologize with me right now because you're in a hurry. I'm not in a hurry. You hot dogging it down Zunai, standing up and riding your bike. Do you see all those potholes? Okay, so you know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna write you a ticket for what I observed on Zunai, and we're gonna subpoena your camera into court. This is a retaliation. I understand that. You're you feel it? There's no doubt in my mind. I don't. That's road rage. No, I was honking because you're on your phone and I needed you to get off so that we could travel. Sometimes I'm required to be on my phone. All I can see.
So have you guys seen that before where they got these unmarked cars, or even if they're in marked cars and they're on their cell phones and they're just doing right, like the servants become the master. What's good is for me is not good for thee kind of a thing. Yeah, I'm sure. Give me a bunch of ones if you guys have seen that. So anyways, this was a pretty good show tonight, guys. I'm pretty tired. I've had a pretty rough day. But I'm glad that you guys all joined me, especially Chili and Brett Ray showed back up and all my homies. So I want to go ahead and thank everybody for showing up. Brandy Sweeney, Sacramento Linny, BZ Watchdog. Thanks for hanging out for the whole show this time, bro. Yeah, my Marine brother, Semper Fi, BZ Watchdog, and James Forbes. Hey man, get to the gym, James. It's never too late, no matter how old we are. Keep on hitting those weights, even if it's just a couple days a week, man. It makes a big difference. I'm still able to get up about 300 pounds for about 3 or 4 reps right now on the bench, on the flat. So I'm still able to do it. There's no reason why you can't, man. And what's the matter, you? And make sure to double tap that screen, guys. Make sure to double tap. Now, tomorrow night, I don't think I'm going to be going live. I have to put in some serious hours tomorrow to make up for all the time that I spent with y'all. But I'm super, super happy that I did the show tonight. I'm hoping you guys learned a little bit about the difference between policy and law. There's a big difference. Policy as a general rule is not law unless the policy also encompasses a law. But typically, like someone telling you have to leave the DMV because their feelings are hurt that you're filming, that is a policy and that is not the law. So if a law enforcement officer forces you to leave under threat of arrest, you now have a Title 42, Section 1983 potential lawsuit against that police department. And the only way, unfortunately, because they don't teach the Constitution and the Bill of Rights in school anymore, the only way people are going to learn is with people like us, police auditors and lawyers like me with enough cojones to come out here and say how it really is on YouTube, unfortunately. So thank you, Copser5150. Guys, everybody, thanks everybody for the super chat. And another way that you can support my channel is to go to my YouTube homepage at Michael Eline and pick up a digital version of my ebook, My Journey to Becoming a Practicing Lawyer with No Law Degree or Undergrad. Yes, you don't need law school. You don't need an undergrad. If you put in the work and you study under a judge or a lawyer for 4 years and pass the bar, you too can become an attorney. I tried 3 cases to the jury as a certified law student. I've done thousands of depositions. I have more practical training than most lawyers you'll ever meet. And I've earned more verdicts and settlements than most lawyers I've met who went to Harvard Law School. So I know what I'm talking about. I think that I'm a pretty good lawyer, and most of my clients love me, and most people hire me because of my background as a Marine and my background as a blue collar worker, as somebody who was a painter's apprentice and a construction worker and a blue collar guy, a salesman. They like that about me. And so I get along and people understand me and I understand them, as opposed to some academic who treats everybody like they're beneath him or her. I've struggled and I've suffered. I was even Rodney Dangerfield's limousine driver. So I have that practical experience that 99% of lawyers have never had. And so, yes, get a copy of my ebook because it's inspiring. And it's only $19.99. You go to my profile, you click description, go down and just click the PayPal link. Even if you don't want to read it, buy it for a friend or a family member. It's a great book and it's a living ebook. So I update it. I add new chapters as new things happen to me, as I have new experiences. So that's another way you can support my channel. Obviously, I totally appreciate the super chats. And remember, everything that I do on this show is separate and apart from my work as a personal injury attorney. I do this as a volunteer service to help my fellow Americans understand the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, civility, and critical thinking. Critical thinking is so important because they don't teach that in schools. They want mindless drones who just do whatever the government says, and we don't want that. We want critical thinkers. We want people who hold public servants accountable and put them in their place. And so Team MPE, I really, really appreciate it. All you guys showing up and supporting my channel. Tonight we had over 65,000 views. I mean, that's amazing. When I first started out my channel, we were getting like maybe 500, 200 people, so I can see that you guys are the ones who make the difference, because the more you like and subscribe, double tap that screen and save my videos for later viewing, that makes the algorithm gods think that I'm a good channel. And so they're going to put me higher up in the results. So anything that you do to help me promote the channel is greatly appreciated. Also, go to my Reddit channel. Go to Reddit at Michael Eline. Just go to Reddit and type in Michael Eline, EHLINE, and add me as a friend on Reddit. And I'll share your stuff, guys. If you're a cop watcher, I'll share your stuff on Reddit. I have an attorney reaction page where I react to cop watcher videos and other things that are in the news. So go to reddit.com and type in Michael Eline, find my profile, and add me as a friend, and I'll make sure to share your stuff. I've had a channel there for a long time. And go to Twitter at Michael Eline. Come and join me, guys. And again, Laura, thanks for showing up. Jeff, thanks for showing up. Laura, you keep on showing up, and you're going to have a wrench next to your name pretty soon. And let's see if we can find David Sauer, Brick Jonesy. Thanks again, Brick Jonesy, for showing up. Age Go. Stoked that you showed up tonight, Age Go. BZ Watchdog. Just Willie, you two have a good night, brother. Kinetic Customs and Racing. Thank you so much for showing up. Roger Lane, James Forbes, Kevin E. Thank you again for showing. Bill Roberts, man, thanks for the super chat, man. That means a lot to me. Bill Roberts, if you're not already have a wrench, you're going to have one pretty soon. Brett Ray, everybody, go ahead and congratulate Brett Ray. Brett Ray has a wrench now. Brett Ray just earned a wrench. Everybody give a bunch of ones for Brett Ray. Brett Ray just earned a wrench. And Just Willie, thank you. Alan, thanks for showing up, even though I don't know what you meant by the comment. Steve Ladner showed. Yes. Guys, I got to tell you, Steve Ladner, I was afraid I lost him. And again, mods, do not time out mods on my channel. If I ever hear any stories about mods timing out mods, I'm going to be pissed. You guys have that wrench. If you see a fellow mod with a wrench, and you don't like what they're saying, do not time them out. They're one of us. They're part of Team MPE. They earn their place here. So Steve Ladner, thank you for showing. Brandy Swaney, thanks for all the ones. Give me a bunch of ones for Brandy Swaney. Alan, thanks for showing. Josephine Pasculi, thanks again for showing up. And then always Bill Boberts, Jim, Kinetic Customs and Racing. I'm just trying to get everybody, man. Did we already say hello to Brett Ray? And Brett Ray's already got a wrench. A Salty Buckeye, word. Yes, Salty. Justin Knighton. Man, there's so many people. I don't even think I can thank all of you. What's the matter, you? Hey, thanks for showing up to the chat tonight. And now I'm starting to repeat names. I can tell I'm getting a little old, guys. But anyways, guys, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. I probably won't be on tomorrow night, but I'll try to share a bunch of shorts. Make sure to always save my shorts too, guys. Not my gym shorts, the short videos. So make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. Semper Fi, do or die.